All right. Looks like we're good to go. Cool. Wasn't too sure there. We had a weird couple of technical difficulties the last 2 weeks when we start these streams, but we got them working though. So no complaints overall. Let's see what we got here. All right. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to be helping you fix your decks up because we're in a new standard season and people may not know what type of cards they should be looking for or playing or whatever the case is. So let's just see what we can do to help with your decks. It's a whole new standard, obviously, right? We've had bans a couple weeks ago, not even like barely 2 weeks ago, right? And actually, I guess a week and a half ago. And we don't even know what standard really looks like yet. We've had a couple of league events, we've had a couple of challenge events, no major tournaments yet. Those will probably be happening over the next couple weeks. And then we'll have an idea of kind of what's going on. But we can at least start seeing the signs on the wall of like what the early part of the format is going to look like. So we'll focus on that while trying to help you fix your decks up. So the goal here, as always, is we do want to fix your decks up. But if you walk in and you're just like, hey, I play this mono black demons deck or whatever, like there's not going to be a lot to say. We're just going to look and go, okay, cool, this looks like a decent deck. Or, yeah, play this one card over this other card, done, right? There's not going to be a lot to talk about there. So I don't want people to be disappointed because we just kind of brushed you aside. This is more for people who are playing weird brews, or you're playing like one of those third tier decks that's looking for one or two cards to boost it up. Maybe you're struggling and it's stuck at 50% and you need to know like what cards to help with the new meta. You know, that type of decks that have real issues is what we're wanting to fix, right? Like, again, if you're just popping in here with one of the popular known decks, we're just going to look and go, yeah, it's a decent deck. You know, it's not going to get you praise. You're sadly just wasting all of our time, including yours. So keep the queue clear for the decks that are different. You know, just need more help, really. Now, that being said, how do you get into the queue? It's actually quite simple. I'm going to hop over to the Discord here. I will post the link to our Discord server. And then what happens is two things. One, you got to go over to our Discord server. You go to our standard section, and then you post your deck list. And then I will put you into a queue, and then I will grab your deck from there. Now, don't just post the deck. I need it posted to a site that lets me download the list. Mostly because this prevents any type of... It minimizes, I won't say prevents, but it minimizes any major issues happening so that I can download it faster, put it into the system, all that good stuff. Um, mm, 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 mm. Why am I not seeing? There it is. I need the invite link for the server so I can put that in the chat for everyone. And then we'll be able to make some things happen. So let's put that over here in this chat for everyone. So wherever you're at, you should be able to see that. If not, I will repost it again. It looks like it weirdly did not post to Facebook, or actually it posted not to YouTube. All right, so I'll go in and manually put it in on YouTube for you guys. It looks like it did post on Twitch if you need it. But yeah, the idea is this is a chance for y'all to get in here. If you want to get help with the deck and you've been curious, oh, this is one way you could do that. Because a lot of people always ask, like, oh, I need help with this, or how do I get you to look at a deck? I will also let you know that if you're a level 3 channel member, we have that all the time for the channel members. I can just do it direct and private, so you don't have to have stuff out publicly if you don't want to. Like, that's a whole thing, but we do make that available. So you can do it anytime, or you can just hop in the Discord, and anytime you're working on a deck, the community is always helping each other with stuff. So you can come hop in there and get deck help always as well. So, again, the link to the Discord, you hop in, you go to the standard portion. Let's say you put your deck on Moxfield, you send a link so I have it to Moxfield and I can download it. Now, we just go first in, first out. But if let's say you get here late and there's 4 or 5 people in the queue and we're going to be wrapping up soon, you want to skip the queue, if you are a YouTube channel member or you make at least a $2 donation in bits on Twitch, we let you skip the line. So, little way for me to make a little bit, but also a way for you don't have to wait. But if you don't want to do that, you can just get in the queue and wait for the queue. Totally fine. We've done this a few times and it works out very well. So we're going to keep sticking with what we know works. Because that's how it goes, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Magic Hero is 6988. How's it going? Currently, the queue is empty. So if you would like to hop in there, there appears to be no one. I will double check. But just a second ago, I don't believe I saw anybody in the queue. I guess I could also just do this. Leave my phone up while we stream. And I could just do it that way. And use my phone as like a third screen. And that's probably the easiest way to do that from here. So let's hop in. Boom and boom. All right. So anybody that shows up, I should know. But yeah, this is just something fun to do that's a little bit different to help people out. Just like I said, it's a new standard. We're still all trying to figure out what's going on. And deck building can be hard, man. Like we've put up those videos and they've been pretty well received, surprisingly. I wasn't sure how the community was going to be interested in those. I have another one that should be coming out maybe next Tuesday. But we've covered basically general mistakes you make with your decks. We've covered how to break down how many lands, creatures, spells you should have in each type of deck you're building. We've covered the percentage of lands you should have in every deck to cast your spells on time. And then the next one's going to be how many lands you should have of each color type for your multicolor decks. So that'll be the next one we do. And then after that, I'm going to debate what we do next. It'll probably be mulligans after that, if I were guessing. I think that's kind of next in the series. I have a whole list here that I've been making, and I've kind of been slowly going through the list of what makes for good beginner videos that people can learn. Not even beginner, just like Magic fundamental videos that people can learn from. So we'll do that. I do have a request in with Wizards and the Arena team to do a video that's, I won't give specifics, but covers some interesting things on MTG Arena that I think people would like to know as well. So hopefully that video can get done. I don't know if it'll get done before Christmas, because for those who don't know, Wizards basically, once you get into December, a lot of people are using vacation time and stuff. So there's times hardly anybody's even in the building. I mean, one year I was there, I think I was there for all of 5 days during the month of December. And then we did come back to like January 3rd or 4th. So if it doesn't get done in the next couple of weeks because of the holidays, probably wouldn't get done until, like, the interviews and things that have to go into that probably wouldn't even happen until the second or third week of January. And then the video could come out like a week or two after that. So that one's probably still a ways off. I don't think we're really close to getting that one done. But the other one about, making your land base right for multicolor decks, that one, I've already been working on the notes and stuff for it. So that'll probably be next week sometime. You'll have a fun video to watch leading up to your Thanksgiving dinners if you celebrate that. Otherwise, like I said, if you wanted to get into the queue, now would be the time. If you want to get deck help, get your deck looked at. Again, the only thing I ask is that you have an actual different deck that you want help with. If it's just, here's Boros aggro, here's allies, here's mono black, demons, whatever. Like, there's nothing to really fix on those. We all know what the best versions of those look like. We all know the best cards to play in those. We want to talk about original decks, or decks that are on the cusp that are struggling. Maybe you're like 8-8, 6-8 your last few games, and it needs a little bit of something, or you know the problem, like, hey, this deck's good, but I lose every time to mono red. That type of stuff. Let's solve those problems for people. Videos on land sound good. Well, we have one right now that's up. It's the one that's titled, it has the thumbnail that says, "Stop getting mana screwed," I believe is what it says. It helps you with the percentage of lands you need to be playing to cast certain spells on time. Like if you have a 5-mana thing you're trying to play on turn 5, these are the type many lands you should have in your deck. So go check that out. I have a whole series of videos on those. We have 3 in this series. Technically, I do have if you go to the channel, my YouTube channel, and look, we have if you go under playlist, there's one that's called MTG Strategy. And I've basically been making a curated list of different strategic things for Magic over the last 4 or 5 years. And some of it's where we do videos like this and help people's decks. Some are just strategic things as far as gameplay. We put some there for like interesting plays that are uncommon. Like just all types of stuff is in there. You know, beginner tips, things you should know about Arena that you might not know, you know, just all types of stuff is just in there. So you should go check that out if you just want extra strategy help with Magic in general. It's a whole playlist of stuff, and you can pick what videos you want to watch. I don't know, there's a lot in there now. It feels like there's probably 20 videos in that thing, maybe more. Because I've just been putting stuff there as we've made it, and it made sense, so we just have a place to put it. So I would go check that out. I do this every single time, Lantern. You can go to the Discord and then go to the standard portion. And after you have hosted your deck somewhere, preferably Moxfield because they're a sponsor, but you can put it wherever, then post that link in the standard Discord channel. And then I will add you to the queue and we'll do that. However, if you come in later and we're only one submission per person. That's the other thing, because we don't want one person putting in 5 decks or whatever. You get one. So whatever one you need help with, put that one in there. If you're later and you want to skip the queue, if you're already a YouTube channel member, you can skip the queue. If you make at least a $2 donation worth of bits on Twitch, you can also skip the queue. So keeping it easy. But yeah, I do this, you know, every once in a while, every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. We just try to like take our time, offer something to help people out, especially after new set releases and stuff. It can be hard to figure things out. So this is an opportunity for people to just kind of get in there, get a little bit of help, and see what we can do to help folks out. All right, looks like we have Mr. Dark is in there right now. So Mr. Dark will be first in the queue. Start making my list over here. And then I will go grab that list. Wait, you prefer Twitch or YouTube? What gives you the best return on donation? Here's the thing. YouTube is going to give people the best return as far as memberships, all that stuff, because you get to keep a higher percentage. On YouTube, creators keep like 70% of memberships, their donations, which they call like super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. We get to keep 70% of all it. If you're on Twitch, generally you're going to get to keep 50 to 55%, I think, depending on what level and all that other stuff. So you're definitely going to do better there. However, Twitch does still have the free memberships or subscriptions if you have Amazon Prime, right? So you can still do the Prime thing for free, even though the creator only gets to keep $2.50 or $2.60 out of each $5 free subscription. It's still a thing that you don't have to pay for, and it still goes to help the creator, and it still comes out of Amazon's pocket, which we're all good taking money from Amazon, right? So never going to turn down somebody using the free ones, especially on Twitch, or if you just use Twitch more often. It just makes sense for you to do it there. But yeah, if you're on both and you're deciding which is better, your creators are going to do better with you just doing stuff through YouTube for them. Yeah, Discord to submit a deck. And right now, just one in there, so I'm going to go grab that, and we will get looking at the first deck. From Mr. Dark, it says. And you conveniently posted it over on Moxfield, so that's easy to snag that. Let's export, and then we will see what we're working with, because I try not to look at them until I load them up, so I have no idea what's happening. Thanks for streaming on YouTube. I'm locked out of my phone verification for Twitch. I stream on all of them, but it would be foolish for me not to stream on YouTube because that's where my YouTube videos go every single day. All right, let's see what we're working with here. This is... Yeah, see, this is exactly what we're not wanting to see. Oh, Wesley, that was unnecessary. Thank you so much. That's a lot. You didn't have to do all that. I appreciate it, though. But dude, that's... Okay. Yeah, that's more than fine. We will put you next in line. Yeah, this is just a standard deck. What do I, like... Yeah, that's just I don't. There's nothing to say about this. This is just like I mean I have two versions of this sitting here right now. I have this one, and then there's another one down here somewhere that I've been goofing around with. Yeah, Firebending Ascension, another one. There's just a bunch of versions of this deck. There's nothing to improve on this. This is just yeah, the deck does what it's supposed to do. Congrats. Like that's all I can really say about that. We know that deck's good. So I will just save the space on that one. Anybody else want to get into the queue? The queue is empty currently. If you would like to hop in, just got to hop over to the Discord and go to the standard portion, host your deck somewhere, and post that deck link for me, and we will take a look and help you out. Reposting it again there in the chats so you can get that. Yep. Boom. Sideboards are just basic. There's no trick to sideboard. Just figure out what your deck's missing and then add those things. You're worried about graveyards, play Rest in Peace. If you're worried about artifacts, play some Abrades. If you're worried about small early creatures, play more Torches. Like, there's not really a secret. And we do mostly best of one, but best of three, that's really it. Like, the question is just, what's the problem you're dealing with the deck? Right? Like, what's the concern? However, though, I would say if you're curious, I could literally go grab like 3 sideboards right now and just tell you what's in them. And I bet you they're solving a lot of those exact same problems. Let me go over here. I will tell you. Because this deck literally shows up everywhere. And this isn't an insult to you or anything. It's just like, it's a super common deck at this point. That scenario. But the thing is, sideboards are going to change anyway because format's going to keep changing over the next few weeks. So looking for specific cards is usually not the best thing to do. It's usually look for things that, like, understand what your problems are and then know the cards you want to play, basically. Because some cards may go in and out of vogue based on what the format looks like, as it keeps changing. Would be my advice there. But yeah, kind of simple answers though. I'm trying to think of like a better way to word that, but that's really it. It's kind of just what it is. There's not really a secret. But yeah, it's yeah. I'm trying to think of like if there's anything special that I would say people might not know for sideboard shows, but they're all kind of what you expect, really. I mean, again, if there's a particular problem you're concerned about, I can give you a certain card. If you know that. Yeah, an untap link's fine. Yeah. Yeah, if there's a certain card or something or deck type you're struggling with, it's probably easier to do that and say, okay, we can play this type of card, And that probably solves or gives you the answer even more so than the other way. But yeah, even if you need like a counter type thing to buy a turn for sweepers, you could play Aven Interrupter is a thing, right? Get Lost is still a card. I'm trying to think like what else you would even want to play. I mean, you want to get creatures back out of your yard? There's a few random things if you want to do that as well. Seam Rip, Torch the Tower, if you're worried about like early badgers and stuff, or badger moles. Yeah, I think that's it. It's more like what problems are we trying to solve? Once Demir stabilizes, yeah, that's the game plan. Like you were supposed to not let them stabilize. Like that's not a secret. There's no sideboard trick for that. If anything, again, just play more burn, more removal, right? Torch gets rid of the cat because it gets exiled and doesn't come back from the graveyard. Your spot removal can get rid of their flyers, or get rid of a planeswalker if they have, what's his name? Kaito, right? Just basic stuff. But there's no real trickery there. I mean, you can play 1 or 2 creature lands if you want to be able to attack with those still. If you want to play something and get stuff back from the graveyard so you can kind of keep going, there's Search for Survivors. Is that the card? I think that's what it is. Maybe I just made that up in my head. Is that not the name of it? I feel like it's a 3-mana card. It has a dude that looks like, I don't know, Um, no, something's wrong. Maybe it's not search. Maybe it's something else. This thing, Scout for Survivors. This, yeah. You can play this thing. Return up to 3 target creature cards, mana value, total mana value 3 or less. Put a +1/+1 counter on each of them. Like, so if they've killed a bunch of your stuff or stuff comes back, like you could play a couple of these, and that could help you build back up. Keep attacking with your stuff that has mobilized, stuff like that. So, like, that's an option. Just the links, not the lists. Because somebody always messes it up when they post a list for some reason. So it's easier just to post the links. But yeah, the stuff like that would probably be your answers. All right. Anyway, let me go see who else is in the queue at this point, and we will start building it back up. So we now have. I only have Andy Nemedy in there. Oh, you're the okay. Yeah, that's Russell Joy with the untap link. Cool. All right, let's go snag this. Let's copy to Arena, and then let's see what we got. All right, we've got Warped Roots. Oh boy, what do we got going on here? So we have Gene Pollinator, Llanowar Elves. Just realized this is a little bit behind. All right, there we go. Endymion of the Silk Shoots, which can give stuff indestructible. Cathar Commando can destroy some things. Leaves from the Vine. Not a fan of this card, actually. But we'll see if it works out. It might actually fit in this type of deck. Scavenging Ooze, Insidious Roots. Like, I don't know. What are we having trouble with this? This doesn't feel particularly hard to play. This is just a Roots deck. And then, you know, adding Frostcliff Sheets or your tokens have haste or whatever. I get that part. But what are we struggling with here? Because I'm not really seeing like the issue. No, I get that. Like, these are just pieces to fuel this. Like, yeah, I understand. But like, I mean, it kind of is just doing what it's doing. I don't it to me right now just looks like it has a similar issue to all of the Roots decks. That when you fire off, it's going to look brilliant, but sometimes you're going to get collateral damage because everybody's worried about the other big go off on turn 4 or 5 reanimator decks. You know. I mean, I get you. If you feel it's complex, that's fair. I mean, this to me looks like variations of Insidious Roots, but it's cool. Yeah, I don't know what we're looking for help wise here. What are our concerns with this deck? I mean, also, this is another deck that could play Badger Mole because you have Insidious Roots making the plants. So there is that. There's one card that was playing that shouldn't really be in there. It's the Lessons for the Vines. It's not great. Replace it with the Town Greeter or something else. All right. But yeah, that's probably it. I don't know what else what we're doing here otherwise. I mean, I know what we're doing. I'm just like, is there a particular thing we're trying to solve? Because the deck structurally is fine for doing what it's trying to do. Like, all the Insidious Roots decks are, let us just find ways to fill the graveyard, and then let's try to use the things in the graveyard. And that's probably the only thing this lacks is you don't, I mean, you have a couple of ways to put stuff in the graveyard, but not, usually they try to play at least 12. Good to watch people play similar decks when you haven't done something similar. Oh, that's totally fair. And then, like I said, I think the main issue Roots has right now is that there's a couple of reanimator decks that are very popular right now. Especially, we already were popular because of Cavaro, Superior Spider-Man stuff. But then now we have stuff you can do with Foggy Swamp Vision. So people are starting to goof around with that a little bit. So then it gets kind of dicey. Is it possible for you to play it so you can see structurally what it's doing, or does it make any sense? It makes it. No, I'm telling you, I 100% know what this deck's doing already. No reason to worry about playing it. Like, I have played many, many, many versions of Roots doing lots of many different things. We know 100% what it's doing. My question is, what are we trying to solve? Like that's what we're doing here. Like, what is the problem you are facing with this deck as to why you need help with it? Oh, time to play it. The Stellar Reclaimer is always going to be an issue with this deck. Like, that's the main issue with the Stellar Reclaimer is, can we get to a spot where we have the mana to be able to use this thing and get something awesome with it? But, you know, it is a way to get stuff back out if you have milled some things, either with the Overlord or with, like, you know, Molt Tender or whatever, you know, so that makes sense. Yeah, I honestly, here's the problem, and here's the thing. You are pushing this to be different for various reasons, personal preference, concerns you have, whatever. But at the end of the day, you've made it slower and less consistent than what Roots decks already do. That's going to be your biggest problem. Partly because your mana is going to be more pressed, right? Because you're basically playing 4 colors. Granted, you do have like Pollinator and Molt Tender, whatever, to help you out, but you are playing 4 colors. So it's going to be pressed there. Actually, you're playing 5 colors, actually, because you have everything in here. So it's not even 4 colors, it's 5. So that's going to be an issue, right? Playing everything on time and always having the right mana. And while you can play stuff like Awaken the Honor Dead, which does mill 3 down the road, it doesn't do it on the turn you play it, it does make you slower than some of the other versions, right? Where they're playing, you know, Cash Grab, Town Greeter, you know, whatever. Like piles of things that you get a thing and mill 3 things or 4 things, whatever. You're going to be behind those, right? Because your mill things are really Overlord, and then you get into stuff like Dredger's Insight, which is nice, right? That's the thing, it can help you find land. But those are kind of your 2 things, really, that you can rely on, because you only need 1 different color mana pip to do those. Where the other decks are playing a, you know, 9, 10, 11, 12, maybe even up to 16 things that mills, they're going to hit their stuff more consistently. So I get what we're doing with like Frost Siege, so when we get our lands, we can tap the lands, do another thing. But I'm also wondering, unless you're going forward on a kill turn, how important that is. Mostly because I don't know even how many cards we would have left in hand to play. You know, I don't really know. And again, you know, when you're talking about, because here's the thing you also have to deal with, right? Your removal spell, singular, is 3 mana. You're going to be staring down, going into turn 3, some, like the Boros deck we just saw, right? They've already played their 3rd creature that's making tokens and attacking or whatever. You probably are staring down possibly 2 mana creatures and or a badger trying to kill you on the next turn. You know, there's a bunch of things there where you could already play, let's say, the black spell that you can discard a creature or discard a card to destroy creature or planeswalker or play 3 life, right? Like, even that can help fuel your graveyard. That would be fine and still playable. But you've squeezed out a lot of those to have room for the Agatha Soul Cauldron, the Frostcliff Siege. Being quirky and fun, I get it, but you're going to give up the consistency to get there. Seam Rip's good. I mean, like any removal spell, it's not going to have uses against some decks for one reason or another. You know, they're playing creatures that are too big. They're not playing enough creatures. Like, that's fine. That's why I like the black spell a little bit more, because worst case scenario, there's an off chance you get to kill a planeswalker with it, right? But you could also play Maelstrom Pulse. You know, that's an option. Even now, like, I don't know if this can even beat the graveyard decks at all. Like, there's no graveyard stuff here, right? There's no Strategic Betrayal. There's no Paleontologists. There's just nothing. Well, that's not true. I guess you have Scavenging Ooze. So if you get that with just green mana, I guess you're set. That does a little bit of something, at least. I feel like it works a little better than you think. It's a little less janky. I think it works probably exactly how I think, which is where the inconsistency comes from. Oh, exactly. No, some games you're going to win. Again, if you're doing what Roots does, you almost always are going to win anyway, right? Like if your Roots goes unanswered for 2 turns, whether you can use Frostcliff Siege to do it immediately or not, you have probably gotten at least 3 or 4 more tokens and or mana providing things to where you have such an advantage anyway. Right? It's just the way it goes. And anybody who's played against Roots knows, or if 2 Roots stay out there, brutal, right? We all know the drill as far as that goes. That's true. You can use Soul Cauldron. I mean, that is something. But yeah, I would probably cut like Leaves from the Vine. I would swap out Awake the Honor Dead for something else to. I mean, I don't know. Again, just the color inconsistency and other things we have to introduce is rough. And I could see sometimes, admittedly, it's not like a lot of white cards. You know, you only need 1 white pip and you can get there most of the time, I'd imagine. But yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest issue right now because a lot of decks, you can't. Anything in the aggro space, you just can't take time off against right now. Right? If you're not doing something productive to slow them down on turn 2, you have to hope your turn 3. Like, you have to hope that you play Roots. They don't have an answer to Roots, whether that's Shelter, Get Lost, whatever, right? And that the thing you do on 3 is big enough to buy you at least 2 turns. Because you've done nothing effectively for your first 2 turns, right? You didn't make a blocker, you didn't get rid of one of their attackers. Right? That's going to be the biggest issue. Is you just have to squeeze room for ways to fill your graveyard and or interact with your opponent. That would be my concern. Like, I'd even go down probably at least 1 Reclaimer, at least 1 Siege, get rid of the Leaves from the Vine. I feel like something else maybe needs to go, but I'm not even sure what at this point. Because like I said, you got to increase interaction and consistency. Those would be my biggest things here. I think the deck overall is fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying your deck's bad by any stretch. I don't think you have to make like wholesale changes. But it has the issues that most variants of these Roots decks are going to have. And there's not a lot of ways around it. Like we've seen and tried a billion different versions of Roots at this point, and they all kind of have the same issue. You kind of have to just race to what you're doing and then fit in interaction where you can. But the end result is, no matter what style we make them, they all kind of end up the same or have the same issues. Like, and I get you're saying adding this up makes it way different. Like, it doesn't make it as different as you think it does. Like, we've seen a lot of variations of Roots at this point. I'd fill the graveyard with more stuff. Get your land consistency accurate, right? The town greeters or something. Maybe 2 town greeters and 2 something to kill your opponent's stuff. You know, 1 or 2 mana answers for things that are probably green or black. Though, because adding anything that's not green or black is just going to introduce more consistency problems. So everything you're adding in should be green or black. Yeah, you've seen several brewers try it. Yeah, I've had several on the channel. I mean, I've probably done 4 different videos with Insidious Roots, you know, over the time it's been standard legal. And some of them we try weird, quirky things. Some of them you're trying to combo stuff. Some of them you're just trying to race. Like, it just kind of depends. But you know they're all going to have the same issues. But yeah, again, I don't think this is a bad deck by any stretch. I wouldn't. It's not like it's like, hey, we need to tear all these cards out. This is just understanding the meta, right? You got to increase your consistency and you got to have some more interaction for your opponents, or else you're probably going to get run over more often than you like. Mostly because if you're not interacting with the creature decks right now, the stuff they can do on turn 3 and 4 is huge. like it's crazy huge. I wouldn't say beating a dead horse, believe me, I build a bunch of decks that I tell people all the time that y'all never even see because I've tried a million things and I know it just works or doesn't work on some level. Um, but I like what you're trying to do with the Frostcliff Siege. It's more an issue of how would I explain it? Is the benefit you're getting from the siege greater than the detriment it's doing to the deck to be competitive? I think is the bigger issue. Like when you get it, it's going to look brilliant. You're going to do these awesome things or whatever. But there's going to be other times like, okay, I have the siege, but I'm also holding like Reclaimer, Awaken, whatever, and I just have like a clunky slow draw, and I don't have anything in my graveyard, and like so you kind of have to have the right scenario in the first place to even have the siege do a lot. Is the other issue. I think the most recent Beifong deck with the blood gas is a great way to feed the roots. Yeah, that's also a known thing that's very good too, right? Any type of combo that lets you get creatures back out of the yard or whatever is also going to be fantastic. I mean, yeah, it might be control decks, but are you? This came up in a comment, right, where somebody said we should show more of the matchups against the control decks because you have to play against those 50% of the time. Like that's 100% not true right now. At least not in my experience. I'm playing against one like hardcore control deck once every 8 games, maybe, and maybe once every 6 to 8 games, a mid-rangey / control deck. So I would rather take the disadvantage against control decks and take the advantage against the aggressive decks based on the metagame percentages. And if I just lose against a control deck, I'll just lose, hit concede, and move on to the next thing. Like, again, the video where we talked about don't try to do everything. Do your deck's core competency first, fill in the gaps after. That's the bigger thing for me. But yeah, I don't think it's necessary to worry about. And honestly, you still have game against control decks, right? Like they have to deal with your roots. Like you do have a creature that can get indestructible that you can possibly get out of your graveyard and do again, right? So you have ways to recur things from your yard. So it's not like you don't have things you can do against the control decks already. I'd imagine graveyard and aggro are a pretty large part of the metagame these days. Aggro is even more so when you get to the beginning of a new season. I don't think people are aware of this, but when you have a brand new season, a lot of folks will lean on aggro decks. For one, because they probably already have something similar and they only had to switch like one set of 4 of some new thing that goes in there, so easy to build and upgrade. But also, you're going to get easy wins because people are going to be stumbling trying new stuff that's not proven yet, or they haven't figured out the best cards. So if they even stumble on their mana or the deck's a little bit clunky and slow, you're just going to get a free win that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise, even if you don't have a great draw. So especially for the first couple of weeks, you're going to see people lean more on the aggro decks than not. That's just literally happens almost every season. And it makes sense, truthfully. And graveyard decks are, again, we talked about that a while ago, but with the Cavero, Superior Spider-Man, whatever decks, those are already good. They just added in like one card, and that's it, and left the decks mostly the same, and they can still play them. But now you also have the Ramp, Crater Hoof, Badger Mole Cub, whatever, Foggy Swamp Visions deck that we play. We actually put a video on that a couple days ago, right? Deck's crazy. You can literally go off on turn 4. Like, technically, I guess on turn 3 if you have the right draw and can kill your opponent. So yeah, and those are doing graveyardy things, so it makes sense that that's going to be another thing to be concerned about, which is where this deck gets a little bit of collateral damage. In general, I don't feel like I have mana issues very much. The Molt Tender and the other things, plus mixed land often. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if mana works, mana works. But yeah, again, I get it. A lot of people don't want to play stuff that's already proven. We want to try to do new things and different things, and I totally appreciate that because obviously we try to do that on the channel a lot of the time. So I'm not going to hate on that. It's just sometimes you just got to weigh it out of, is that ingenuity coming at a detriment of something else? right? And if it is, that's probably what's contributing to your win-loss percentage. Was hot a few months back because of Cavaro's Spirit Spider-Man, bring our last, but we came out of Spider-Man with graveyards being pretty heavily brewed. Yeah, for sure. That's why there's so many answers you see people playing, right? The Paleontologist, Keen-Eyed Curator, Strategic Betrayals in a lot of lists in Best of One, Rest in Peace, various artifacts that are moving graveyards. Like, you'll see a lot of those just pop up in games as a one or two of in people's lists just because they want something to do with the graveyard decks because they see so many of them. Yeah, Rakdos Reanimator. I've run into a couple of those. I have a Dinosaur Reanimator I'll probably be playing in a couple days in a video. So yeah, there's plenty of Reanimator options that need to be dealt with for sure. All right, let's let's see who is next in the queue. Dun 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 dun. All right, who do we have next up? We have. Oh, that's not it. That's the wrong window. Do we just have one person in the queue? Looks like Lantern is next up with some deck called Heavy Metal. We will see what this is about. Export that, grab that. Boom. That works. And then we'll load over here. Hey, Francois. How's it going? All right, what do we got here? We have... Oh, we're trying to do some Toph metal bending. I see. This is peculiar but interesting. I don't hate it. So we have Commune with Beavers to help us find stuff. Defend the Rider, probably to protect Toph when she gets out. This is interesting because you don't have a lot of things to sacrifice to the extruder. Not a lot of things you necessarily want to sacrifice to the extruder. Now, once you already have Toph, that changes, right? If you get Toph on 4, then you go ahead and start sacking stuff because it's going to come back and do its thing anyway. So I get that part of it. But this is kind of the concerning card. Because I do love this card. Matter of fact, I have it in a pursuit list that y'all probably see in a day or two on the channel. So I like this. But is there anything else we could sacrifice stuff to that would be better with Toph? Because I'm wondering, like, obviously, Chandra gets you value when you sacrifice something anyway, right? You get to draw and discard, whatever. And then eventually you get this to 7 or 8, and then you can minus it and do your thing. So that makes a lot of sense. There also aren't many creatures in here. I'm realizing. Yeah, 10 creatures. Technically, you could make a pseudo creature with Chandra, and you can kind of make creatures with Extruder, but this has a twofold problem. While, yes, you do have some earthbending, but, you know, creatures. You do have two problems here. The first is that Toph is going to have a harder time surviving if your opponent's not had to use their removal on anything else. Because basically, all the removal that's played in Standard can kill Toph, except for, like, Shock, right? Like, you know, the two damage red spells. Pretty much everything else can kill Toph. So you kind of have to sit on Defend the Rider forever. So Toph really becomes a 5-mana thing. And you don't have much to push the game forward, right? This also means that your Collector Cage could end up in tight spots sometimes without an actual target, right? Because you're not going to have creatures necessarily with the counters on them to get the free thing. And if we're playing Collector Cage, I also kind of want a slightly bigger payoff. Granted, it is nice to be able to search for Toph and get your shot at it. Nothing wrong with that. But I almost feel like we should have Crater Hoof. Well, again, you don't have that many creatures, so maybe even Crater Hoof isn't that great. But something of that nature. Some big body, even if it's like Boomy, right? Get a 5/4, make another creature, you know, it gets something out of it. Yeah, this is a tough one. I because I like the artifact. I even like the fact that when we reach the point that we have Toph, we can start sacrificing these things, and then they come back anyway, and we could just take back something. Like this is cool because you could maybe get rid of a token, sack it to something, right? And actually, do we only have this to sacrifice stuff? Well, I guess technically genre too, and then you get it back with Toph. So I don't know. Hmm. Yeah, we're just trying to do a lot. I think this is a case of we tried to do too much and we kind of got away from the target a bit. Ocelot Pride makes sack fodder. Yeah, Ocelot Pride's not standard legal. That's a big issue. And also I am doing well, Francois, on a Saturday morning here. Who wanted to try Heaped Harvest in a top deck? I was them wondering if there was something else that sacrificed to itself. Heaped Harvest is a good option, actually. Yeah, Dusk Rose makes a lot of sense in here for me. I would definitely play that instead. Nutrient Block. That's cute. I think I tried. I don't know why. I think I tried Nutrient Block in some list, and I wasn't happy with it. Theirs makes nice as a list with indestructible. Huh. I live stream every once in a while. I'm making it more regular, but yeah, I actually started out doing a lot of live streaming when I first started doing content. Yeah, we got a lot going on here. What about adding Kryn to flip the collector's cage? I don't mind that. I think Kryn's a fine card. But yeah, I think we're because here's the problem. We're trying to one set up artifacts with things we could sacrifice to take advantage of Toph. That's already one thing. And then we're kind of doing some earth bending things with a little bit from Toph, a little bit from Cub, kind of with earth bending Ascension. And then we're kind of doing some +1/+1 counter stuff, sort of, with like Terra Symbiosis and Cage. And there's just a lot happening. And I think it needs. What I would say is I might focus on doing more creatures and or earthbending and letting Toph be like the cleanup card to where you can start doing silly things. But Terra Symbiosis, while it is nice to draw cards, I'm trying to think of like, I mean, we have a couple of things that could put counter. I mean, I guess really we just have Earthbending. Here's the problem, right? We have Terra Symbiosis, but the things that put counters outside of Badger Mole Cub, because it hopefully has come out before the Terra Symbiosis, we only really have two cards consistently that are going to do that, right? Earthbending Ascension and Collector Cage. And I don't even think like Ascension. Yeah, so this doesn't even always put counters until you have 4 quest tokens on it. Yeah, I don't know. I think this should. Yeah, yeah. This is the stuff that makes cards like Toph hard. You know, Dazzling Moon Smithy. That's fun. Gives you an excuse to sacrifice stuff, right? And then you just get it all back with Toph. So that could be kind of fun. I wouldn't hate that. Man, you know what? No Generous Plunderer for me. I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because I have tried Generous Plunderer in at least 10 builds. Somewhere north of 10. I don't know what the number is, but at least 10. And every single time I have not liked it. Like it gives your opponent even that 1 mana every turn is such a big advantage to give your opponent. And they're often, especially now, reaches a point where you can't even attack with your plunderer anyway. So it's like you gave them a treasure for a couple of turns. They took like an extra couple of points of damage. And then they just cast a really big thing. Or their board sweeper or whatever, like a turn faster. Right? That's the reason you don't see plunderer in a lot of things. Like I would probably only play plunderer in a build with maybe like Magda or something, where the extra treasure meant a lot to my deck, right? And then it's like, okay, you get some treasure too and you do your thing, but the treasure for me is has a super high value. If the treasure for yourself doesn't have a really really high value, it's not worth the advantage you're giving up to the opponent, I don't think. Just guys the only place I don't even think that. Like the number of times my opponent has played Generous Plunder against me and I've been excited to have that extra treasure is kind of sad. So that also makes me not want to play it. Um Even if they have a lot of burn, I don't think that's good because again, you're giving them more mana to draw their life gain stuff, to play their sweepers, whatever. When there's already a lot of good efficient ways to kill the opponent with creatures at 1, 2, and 3 mana. Even in red, there is a whole host of things to pick from. We don't have to play Generous Plunder. Like, it's just giving up advantage for no reason. Including of Pinnacle Starcade. Yeah, exactly. Into a weapons manufacturer deck. I don't think it's trying to turn it into that. Starcage is actually good against like mono green, mono red, the Boros aggro stuff right now, right? There's some decks that actually does function well against without having to be part of the weapons manufacturing thing. So I wouldn't go that far, but I think this card is actually still fine. And that's kind of what I'm staring at right here is I don't think any of these cards are bad or a problem or anything like that. It's just the deck's trying to do too much. And I think we have to decide, are you an earthbending deck that will get some advantage from Toth? Or are we going to be an artifact deck? I mean, really, I think those are your choices. I think you're either some type of artifact deck that's doing big things like Collector Cage and maybe some artifact creatures or whatever, Chandra, Extruder, or you're an earthbending deck with some white for removal and Toth, so you could reuse those, put counters on things, do that. I think that's really the issue. Because I don't have an issue with Collector's Cage, but we just don't have enough creatures to fuel it. And I don't, like, And if we're not going to play 2 mana removal, I'd rather have 3 or 4 cages. Because I think that's the only way you're going to hold up against some of the aggro piles. Is if you're not interacting with them on 1 and 2, like you need something big to do that following turn. However, Cage also becomes a little bit of a detriment because we're playing Pollinator and Cub and whatever, so we're taking away the advantage of the thing we're trying to do. So I would cut the Star Cage. Probably play... Oh yeah, I would totally play Duskrose Reliquaries because you could get rid of lands if you're doing the earthbending thing and then you just get your land back so you don't have to give up any value. Yeah, the Duskrose Reliquary would be way better. Infinitely better than that for dealing with the aggro piles. And then you can still sacrifice them later if you want to and do stuff or whatever. So that makes way more sense to me, actually. So I would probably trim down... Let's go one less Spin the Rider. Let's move these for the time being. Let's go up a cage. Let's get rid of the star cages. Perilous Snare is fine. It does have some flexibility, so I don't hate that. Hovership is neat. Trying to decide like how excited I am about the hovership here. I don't hate it. I'm just trying to think about how much removal does the deck need to have, because we got to find room for creatures is the problem, right? We got to get some more earth-bending-y things in here, I think. So let's go Dusk Rose. Hey, thanks for that. New followers. Always awesome. I guess you're hiding some on the sideboard? Yeah, let's just get those over in the main deck. And then... Man... We got to try hard to squeeze room into this deck. I think, sadly, Chandra probably has to go. I guess my real question here is, Other than just sacrificing the artifacts to sacrifice them, what's the benefit we're really getting from the artifacts we're sacrificing? Like, we're getting to reuse them for cards with Chandra? Like, Extruder makes sense, because we're just getting rid of a thing and we can just keep sacking the same things to keep getting 3/3s. So that's kind of cool. But I don't even know, like, and do we even need Chandra if we're getting cards off of, like, Terra Symbiosis and whatever along the way? I think is the issue. Um, Chandra just a card. I like Chandra too. I think Chandra's a fine card. I don't have any issue with it. I'm just here treating like we got to make room for something. We got to probably try to squeeze like 6 or 7 more creatures in here at a minimum. So we're gonna have to make some tough calls, and I think Chandra might just have to be one of those things, unfortunately. And then, so that's 4 spaces we have for something. I mean, the creature can't still at 10, though. I mean, yeah, it's just tough. When you have stuff like Terra Symbiosis and Cage or whatever, and you just don't have creatures in there, I just don't think it does enough. Yeah, some tough calls. Yeah, that is true. That's exactly the issue we're dealing with. Um, ah. Yeah, Defend the Rider's got to go. I think making a 1/1. I mean, while defending a creature is nice, you are going to have Earthbending and blah blah and whatever, so you're just going to have creatures anyway. And while Toph is nice, we don't really care if Toph dies. Like, you're not going to live or die if this card goes away. That leaves up 6 spaces. We can get to 16 things. Technically, World Wagon is kind of a creature, sort of. And if we're earthbending, we're making some more creatures. So, I mean, I guess we could live with that. So let's see what earthbending has. Oh, it's earthbend is how it shows up on cards, right? Not earthbending. Yeah, all right. And then also make sure there's nothing I'm missing. Flip to this thing so we can see them all. Man, there's not great ones at low cost. They're all kind of pricey. Ugh, that makes me sad. That actually makes me very sad. I was hoping there's going to be more than like 1 and 2 mana guys, but it's like, nope, all the good ones are like 3 and 4. Which, like, also you do have Bossing Say, which does make creatures as well. I mean, I guess we play 1 Boomy, because Boomy's kind of silly. And then we don't have a ton of allies. This is let you get 1, so it's 2 mana for 2/2, basically. Man, I was hoping there'd be. I guess we go ahead and go up on Pollinator. But I don't even know if you should be like. Should we just be playing Llanowar Elf? Like, while it only makes green, you kind of consistently want mana, right? Because you could have turns. I don't know. Getting other colors is nice. Here's Little Toph. And then it's equal to a number of counters on things. So that's something. And Earthbend's too, so it's always going to be like a minimum of a 2/3. I mean, maybe. I'm trying to figure out where we squeeze more 2 mana things so we can set up some of the other stuff. Caradora. All right, let's see what Caradora is. I don't even know what that card is. Oh, this? No, we don't need this. Like, for 4 mana, I'd rather just play another Boomy or a pile of other things, before this. Earth Rumbler. Yeah, 5 mana, same thing. I'm going bigger than this. Like, more consistent if we're doing this. Like, this isn't a terrible card, but we already have to exile something, and, if we want it to be a creature, and 5 mana, you can just start looking at silly things at 5+. That's the thing. Like if you're gonna be going big, you might as well just go something that can help you come back from crazy situations or whatever. Mm-mm-mm-mm. 2 mana artifact creatures and EOE. When it dies, it counters move elsewhere. Yeah, that's true. Great Divide Guide. Not particularly. I mean, the card itself is a 2/3 mana creature, so you could just play it in addition to other things if you wanted to. Because what are we up to? 14 creatures. And we added 2 Earthbenders, but one is 5 mana, so it kind of just is what it is, I guess. Played 4 Reliquaries. I'm actually just making my last couple of slots Llanowar Elves. I feel like that's what I would do with this. And then just make sure I can consistently try to hit something. Matter of fact, I might even go 1 less Pollinator and go 3 Llanowar Elf. Mostly because getting to 3 mana is almost more important than getting to 4 mana in this deck. And Pollinator doesn't allow you to necessarily play something on 3. Or play 3 mana on turn 2, right? Now, it is fine if you go Badger Mole Cub, get your mana, do something. But you can set up Earthbending Ascension, go get a land with a World Wagon, play Terra Symbiote. Like, you can start setting up your field with a Llanowar Elf, where you can't necessarily do that with the Pollinator, I think. Yeah, you could Earth, but here's the problem. We could put more artifacts in that are vehicles, but you at some point need to have actual creatures to get the things to fuel the vehicles, right? And maybe there's some quirky world where you do it making artifact creature tokens or whatever, but I'm also trying to leave enough value for Toph in here so it's worth playing Toph, other than just like the free earthbending. Yeah, Pollinator seems like it works better in a Kona deck than here. It's not necessarily just a Kona deck. I think if you're already doing, say, like mono green aggro, a bunch of them are playing just a full set of Pollinator and Llanowar Elf, because they still both work equally well with a Badger Mole Cub, right? So if you play either one on 1, you play a Badger Mole Cub on 2, you still have 2 leftover mana from one of these creatures, and you can play something else. In this deck, though, you're really just trying to get to 3 and 4 more than anything. And they're all some, like, you still want some 1-drops in case something weird happens and you already have a slow hand, but they play a Badger Mole. You still want to be able to Dusk Rose Reliquary and get rid of their Badger Mole type situation. You still have access to Legion Extruder, so that can do what you need it to do. Yeah, this feels closer. I'm still not super happy with this, but this feels closer. I think it's still probably 4 or 5 creatures short of where I'd be comfortable totally with playing this. But at least now with Boomy being in here, like, you have something significant you can hit with Collector's Cage, which I like. Because otherwise, we're just kind of getting like a World Wagon or maybe a Symbiosis to try to get some cards. And it wasn't that. As a matter of fact, I might even cut 1 and add either another 3 mana Toph or a Boomy. I'm not really sure. I'll put 3 mana Toph because it's easier on your wild cards, but I'd probably make Boomy just because Boomy at the top end is kind of silly. Should be ramping 3, then punching hard every turn with wagons to force hard choices. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the issue with Toph is the 2 things that make Toph good is either the free earthbending, because you just get that every instep, right? And or some artifacts that you can just sack repeatedly to get some type of ability. Which also, this doesn't have a way to deal with graveyard stuff, I'm just realizing. So maybe you play one of the graveyard artifacts you can sacrifice as your 61st card. Maybe that's what we're doing. Where are we at here? Probably like... Vacuum's a little slow to sacrifice. So probably like Soul Guide Lantern. Like, this is probably fine. Because we don't need our graveyard. So, yeah. Just firing up a Soul Guide Lantern. You probably want 2 of those at least. But it's a card to think about. I'll just park 1 there for now. Kind of understand the idea of artifacts and counters being what Toph does well. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think the card is fine. The thing is, like, when you see Toph in, say, a commander deck or some other format, it's going to be because I'm sacking a thing I get to draw a card from every turn or whatever, right? Or I'm sacrificing one of those artifacts that like does something silly, but you exile it from the game and you just get it back and can do it again, right? Like one of those types of things. That's what you're looking for in that scenario, I think. Um, the other question is, what if this was just like a hardcore artifact deck? And then you lean on Toph, right? It's some red white aggro artifact thing, and then you just have Toph as the top end. Like that's kind of cool too. But Toph just say like you could just sacrifice Soul Guide Lantern over and over and over and just get cards like during your opponent's end step, and then it comes back and you still get to exile a thing. So it's not awful, right? If you want to do that, it at least does a thing. What though if maybe something like this? I don't know. Something along these lines is probably at least where I would start. And then I would figure things out from here. Play a few games, see what it feels like, try to figure out what makes sense from there. Could I not put that there? There we go. So you got 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 23. Yeah, just have some fair amount of mana creatures. Yeah, this is at least probably playable. And it has a decent amount of earthbending, so you can build up a board. Like, there's probably something here. Market Back Walker might be too slow, though. Like, it's one of those things that when you don't have Toph, you're not going to want the card. And actually, Walker just comes back as a 0/0 anyway, right? So that wouldn't really do much. Yeah, so you'd get to sack it one time. Which isn't bad. I mean, it's still cards. But, you know, you spend 4 mana, get a 2/2, sack it to Extruder the next turn, get 2 cards, and then that's kind of the end of the story on it. I mean, you would sacrifice it, it would just come back and be a 0/0 and die again. It dies to state-based effects. I don't even know, like other types if they don't die. Yeah, I think that's just like a weird loop because like Earthbending says, let's see, draw 0/0 land. When it dies or is put in exile, returns the battlefield tapped. Yeah. So yeah, it just dies. It's a 0/0. Piggy bank sacrifice trade token. Yeah, that's reasonable too. That's what I'm saying. Like, could you build a red white artifact aggro deck? Granted, your whole deck would just die to Ultima or whatever, so you know that's a thing. But that aside, could you do that and then just play Toph at the top end, and then all your stuff is just value constantly, right? Like maybe that's a thing, but I don't know. But yeah, that's probably where I would start. I would go here, see how that feels, and then build from there. Because this at least feels more focused than it was before. Like now I can look at it and at least see a plan of where everything's going, how the mana works to cast everything up the chain. You know, we have some upper end cards we can hit, and it feels a little bit better than before. Like the pieces are more coherent, and I think that's kind of the big thing. But let me check and see. Do we have anybody else in the queue? Let's see what we got. I have Moss Icon in the queue, it says. So let's see what you got going on. Let's export this. All right. Boom. Let's go back here. Upload this. Demonic Demir. Okay. This is, oh my gosh, what are we doing? I got to look at it this way. What are we doing here? We got boomerang stuff, 3 steps ahead, just a singular one. Interesting. Consult the star charts, detect intrusion, negate, bitter triumph, nowhere to run, a bunch of one-ofs. I'm not sure why there's a bunch of ones. Iron Crag. This is the thing that gives stuff to people, right? Yeah, turn it face up and give something. Spirit Water Revival, Besiege the Mirror, Demonic Pack, Greed's Game. I'm gonna say something you don't want to hear. Save your trouble. Like this. First off, there's way too many one-ofs for no inexplicable reason here for me. That's already like a big issue. You're gonna have a very large lack of consistency. Granted, all these one-ofs are kind of like removal, but they're all different types for different reasons. And that's a little bit of an issue. Granted, Spirit Water Revival, draw cards. Like, this is cool, I suppose. But this whole plan, like, you're not even playing a full set of Coveted Falcon, right? And your plan is to try to do the Demonic Pack, Greed's Gambit stuff. So that's already part of the issue. But I will say, in my experience, these decks just don't work out. Like, I have tried a billion, because I know people want to see these work. And they had a small window. There was like a minute about, was it beginning of this year or late last year, where they were at least kind of in there, right? People, they were fighting. But after that, we never really saw them again. It's the same reason when Iroh came out, the new red-white one, and people are like, oh, but you could donate this card and that card. I'm like, those decks don't work. We already know. We tried. And even now, if everybody's who tried the Iroh, they're just bombing hard. Yeah, it's a tough thing, man. Like, I know people want this to work, and I put time in trying. There's honestly, and part of the problem, realistically, is that even if you get what you want and things line up, you're still at the mercy of so many cards of your opponent, right? You go to do something with Falcon and they just like kill the enchantment, or you give it to them and there's still like 2 options on there and then they just kill you before the end, or you give them the Greed's Gambit and they have stuff to sacrifice so it doesn't matter, right? Like, there's so many scenarios come up where the cards just don't end the game and you spend so many resources just dealing with them. And once you're at this point, you're already like, I don't know, 2/3 of the way to just being Dimir control. So at that point, you just play like the Rooms, the Demons, Liliana, whatever, and then just win with those. Like, this is just a hard way to win with a large inconsistency. Yeah, I mean, you got it. It's got to be a long game to kill him. You are correct. Can even send a deck I'd like to have fixed? If yes, where can I send it? You get into the Discord, go into the standard channel, post me the link where your deck is hosted, not the deck list, where your deck is hosted, and then you can hop in right with everybody else. And you can be next in line. Yeah. So that's my issue here. Like, this is one where, as much as I would like to help you, I feel like whatever I tell you would have you spending resources on cards that are still going to leave you in the same situation. And I only say that because this is one where I've tried a bunch. I've seen a bunch of other people try a bunch. And the metagame right now will not even allow this to be good enough, I don't believe. Like, and again, we'd be doing a lot of changes. Like, I don't think Spirit Water Revival is necessarily the right card here. I would make sure you have at least a 4th Falcon at a minimum. Figure out what removal counter package we're going with and clean that up. Lean more on the control pile of the deck. Probably don't need Riddler because you already have like Consult the Star Charts. I'd just play a 4th one of those. I mean, your Riddler's more often in this deck going to get you 1 card because you're going to have multiple cards in hand because you're a slower deck. So you might as well just play Consult the Star Charts, and a lot of times you can just get 2 cards. Or even play the 3-mana one that lets you look at the top 5 and take 2 cards, right? That's going to be better a lot of the times than even playing Riddler. So that would be my thing. Yep, if you do need the deck list, or I mean the Discord link, I'll put it back in chat for people. Oops, wrong thing. There we go. What is this about? Oh, I accidentally put, let's not ignore that. I guess I accidentally posted the deck list in there. That's weird. It didn't copy the the Discord link like it was supposed to. That's wild. All right, let's try this. There we go. Now it's in there. That was a weird thing. Sorry, y'all. But yeah, go into the Discord, join the Discord, go to the standard thing, and wherever you host your deck list, give me a link to where your deck is hosted. But yeah, I think that's my issue. I think these types of decks are interesting. Don't get me wrong. I get why people would want to build them because, again, like I said, I put time into doing it. But I will tell you, every attempt I've made at these decks never made it to video because, like, I'm fine if they're even like slightly below 50%. And we posted some of those, right? They're like, hey, you can try it out. Maybe you can figure out what it is, whatever. They weren't even close. I don't think I had one that was better than 25%. So I didn't even bother with it. Because even if I showed you just the games I won, they weren't very fun to watch. Like, it was just such a bad viewing experience. Like, the gameplay wasn't good, nor were the results good. So there wasn't a reason to post it. Because even when decks are bad, I'll post videos. I'm like, man, these games are fun. I'll show you. And at the end of the video, I tell you, while this was fun, don't build the deck, right? Wasn't even going to do that with these. They just don't hit any metric right. I would rather cut the pieces, like, you know, the Falcon, the Pack, the Gambit, whatever, and just make it a Dimir control deck. Just go up higher on Deadly Cover-Ups, Meringue River Regents, keep your Day of Black Sun, that's fine. Add more card drawing spells, clean up your removal, play a couple more pieces, call it a day. You know, play a Planeswalker, play the rooms, and you'll be good to go. And you'll be much happier with your results, I promise. I have tried. It's to the point that it's on my list. This type of deck is one step below Slime Against Humanity, right? Like, I've tried that thing. Slime Against Humanity, I think I've tried, I don't know, I feel like 40 times. It's probably closer to like 27 times. But yeah, I'm not a fan. Like, same results. But yeah, queue is empty if somebody wants to hop in there. When you save them, there's options to share. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, once you save it onto Moxfield, you literally just put the URL in the Discord and I'll go snag it. That's all I gotta have. Wherever you host it, just give me the URL from the top of the page, or wherever you put it. I'll go get it. It shall be fine. Also, I don't know if you're watching right now, but thanks, Thomas, for directing people in the Discord. By the way, if y'all just want to join the Discord just to join it, like, it's pretty active. People are always in there talking about stuff, talking about community things, helping each other with decks. I'll post notices, you know, like before I go live, things like that will happen in there. Yeah, also, speaking of, I want to show y'all something. I'm going to see if I can switch screens real quick. Just to show you a real quick little thing. But this, I don't know if y'all saw this. This is an Iro. There we go. An alternate art Iro that I got yesterday that I didn't even know existed till yesterday. If you have a store called Box Lunch near you, and it's basically like the nerd apparel store. Like, they have stuff for damn near everything. A bunch of anime stuff, Magic stuff, video games, Disney stuff, like you name it, right? It's in there. You have to spend at least $50, but I think you can spend it on anything. So if you're just looking to get a new shirt, jacket, whatever, go in there, snag it, and you can get one of these. And the cool part, I ended up just getting me a hockey jersey. So I have the Avatar / Magic hockey jersey because it was there, and I'm like, you know what? I need to spend something, whatever, I'll snag that. So yeah, just a thing, if y'all didn't know that exists. And again, not sponsored, nothing like that. It's just a cool item that these are the type of things that, as time goes on, they end up being somewhat more valuable because they're unique promos you couldn't just, like, open in a pack or go to your local store and get or whatever. And to my understanding, Box Lunch only has like 250 locations. but they're in a lot of major malls, so you can probably find them within reasonable driving distance of you. But I mean, each one, I'm just guessing. Wizards maybe sent, I don't know, 100 of them to each store. So there's probably a few thousand of them out in the world. And then after that, they're gone, they're gone. So I don't know. But yeah, just a thing. When I see stuff like that, I like to tell people about it because that's something I even know. And by the way, uh, I only found out because if you're on actually, let's see, while we have a moment, I can go to the main screen on Arena. I saw this, right? And if you click on it, it takes you to Box Lunch's website where you can buy all this apparel. And the majority of this was available in their actual store, but there's a lot more on the website too. And they have a bunch of other just like magic apparel and other things. But you can't get the card by buying online. You have to go to their physical store. But that's where I found out because I went to their website and then I was looking around. I was like, I don't see how I would get the promo through here. So I called them and my local store said, oh, no, you have to come into the store to get it. And then so we just drove to the mall to go get it. So unfortunate if you don't have one near you, but that's all I can do. I'm just the messenger to try to help people out. I had somebody mad because they're like, well, this sucks because they're only in America and I can't get them. And I'm like, man, why are you mad at me? I can't do nothing about it. But the cool part is each region does get random promos. There's been stuff that's only been in Europe and stuff that's only been in Japan and whatever. And there's still items. Like there was a sweet series of watches they made that had the mana symbols as the clock face. And I was trying, but they were only available in Japan for whatever reason. And I'm still trying to get one of those and couldn't find it. I'm probably going to be too expensive now, but when they came out, they were like, I think $150 or something, which is a fine price for a solid watch. And I was willing to pay it. But man, because a green one would have been slick. I would have been cool, going out and wearing that when I go have poker nights or something. That would have been awesome, but can't find it. All right. And loading up Arena. Sure, take your time. We'll be here. Anybody else in the queue in the meantime? Nope. Looks like the queue is still empty. So hop into the Discord if you want to get in there. I will post the link again for anybody who needs it. If you want to hop in Discord, go to the standard chunk of the server there. And then post your link to wherever your deck is hosted. It'll be awesome. And again, thank you to, I believe it was WrestleJoy earlier that made the donation. Much appreciated. I've been putting in a dumb amount of time on content, so I really appreciate that. Just to know that y'all care enough for all the stuff I'm putting out. Because y'all, to put in perspective, in the last 2 weeks, we've posted a video every day. There's a couple of shorts that went up. We've done 3 videos on deck building, and I'm working on another that y'all will see in a couple days. There was the overrated, underrated videos I did with Dev. There was the 2 craft, don't craft, the overperforming, underperforming decks, right? All of that was in the last 14 days, I think. And I'm recording and editing all those myself. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, I can't post my decks on there. Most of the decks are modifications of net decks from your channel and a few other channels. Yes. If you're not standard, I'm probably not going to have as detailed info to give you. I could look at it and maybe give you 1 or 2 minor tips, but it's not going to be as exciting and thorough for you. And if it's a commander list, those are so personalized, we would need a whole hour to break down commander lists. Oh, didn't know that was a thing. Yeah. But yeah, so I say this to be completely genuine. It's anytime y'all leave extra bits donations on Twitch or y'all leave super chats or super thanks on a video or a live stream on YouTube, I am super thankful because on some level it at least helps justify the dumb amount of time and hours some of this stuff takes sometimes. Because I think for a lot of people, they're like, oh, you just get on and just play games and you record the games and post video. But like, if you knew the number of decks I built and videos I recorded that I have to just trash, like, it would be amazing. But again, I'm also working on stuff on the side for other things as well. Even right now, I'm having to research some deck stuff for the next Arena Championships and a couple other things. So there's a lot going on. But I'm always trying to post fun stuff and a little bit different stuff for y'all. So it's not just gameplay things all the time. There's some other things that just help you in general, which I think is a big deal. Don't think we get enough of that content, actually. They're just things that are nice. And welcome to all of you that have joined the Discord server that even didn't post lists that just want to come be part of the community. We have like 700 people in there now, by the way, which is absolutely crazy to me. What's the final number? Because we have like 140, so it's like 750 almost. Like, that's just crazy. It's like, I don't even, like, I truly look at that and just like, I don't even know why some days, but I'm glad y'all put up with me. Hey, don't feel bad being tech illiterate, man. If there's stuff you don't know, you don't know. It's like when somebody posts stuff on the Architect site, I'll just go to click on something and images are sliding around and things are happening. I'm like, why? Why is this way? I just want to look. I don't need all the frills. Just let me see the deck. What are we doing? But you know, different stuff for everybody. But yeah, if just for an example, I've put together like 3 different Boros aggro-y decks. I have a Pursuit artifact pile in here. I just came across a Golgari list that I'm checking out. Couple of different mono green lists, ramp doppelgang pile I'm working on, dinosaur reanimator. That'll probably be in the next couple days. Y'all will see that video. Mono green with Ugin. That's basically a big ramp deck. Some earthbending pile that I don't even know if it works yet. Like, I have so many things in, I don't know, in process, if you want to call it. And then a few others with like the new Battle Crier stuff and some airship things and just all kinds of things. Yeah, that's exactly how you learn though, right? Like, that's part of the process. There's a lot of times where I will end up making a deck because of some ideas from other decks. Or I start with an idea and it morphs into something else that becomes a good deck. And I think that's one of the things about the decks you see on content channels is that I always tell people, first off, playing on the ladder is not like playing in a tournament. I say all the time that if I make, let's say, 100 decks for a season, realistically, like 20 to 25 of those, I might actually consider playing in a tournament if I were going to play. But on the ladder, I'm still able to get to Mythic with them or whatever, right? Hell, I just got to Mythic the other day, goofing around with allies. Yeah, so when people say like, oh, you can't play this and rank up and blah, blah, like, no, that's not true. It's 100% not true. You know, people will tell you that like, you can only get so many wins in a day. You can't do this. You can't do that. Like, none of that is true. It's just not. Right? Or you can only play the best decks. Or I don't know why you put all this stuff here. Or those results aren't real. And whatever. I'm like, okay. And this is the way I try to explain it to people. If I'm testing a lot of decks. And literally, there's been days I've been at like Diamond 1. You know, 1 pip in. And going all the way down to Diamond 4. Just testing decks. If I'm doing that in between the stuff that actually does well and makes videos and still make Mythic, it's totally doable. You know what I mean? Like, I have a pile of losses that I voluntarily gave myself for research purposes and am still able to get there. So when people just say like, oh, content creators are only showing the games they win and blah, 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 like, that's not true. Like, hell, I have losses in my videos. I even tell you about other losses at the end of my videos that I've had that didn't necessarily make the cut because the games were long and boring or whatever. So it's not like we're covering anything up. It's just like, I don't know, skill issue? I don't know. I hate using that term, but maybe that's the problem for some people. I don't know what to say there. Oh, you don't have to export it. Literally, Reggie, if you have your deck on Moxfield, literally go to the URL at the top. Just copy that web address and go post that in the channel. It will take care of the rest. Like, I actually want the URL and I don't want the exported deck list. Because it's way easier to avoid mistakes that way. Okay. Looks like Kronk put up two lists. It's one per person, so I'm only taking the first list that's posted on there. And it's funny that I was just making jokes about Archidec because that's where you hosted it. Oh boy. All right. How do I export on Archidec again? Like this Archidec is way too fancy. Like I don't I like I it's weird cuz I like the site, but there's some days I'm just like, man, I just want to do a simple thing. Just let me do the simple thing. All right. So I can go through this, click to export for Arena, and I can copy it. Note that Arena will only accept editions of cards that are available on Arena if you receive an error. Okay, sure. That's fine. All right. We got a successful import. That's a start. I always feel like on Archidec I'm gambling. I don't know what's going to happen on some days. All right. Okay, what do we got here? We have this is another one where I guess get to deliver bad news. Squirrels are not good. This is one where I want to give advice, but no matter what I give you, you're going to have the same problems. Like it's just not it. like like I honestly, Yigra ended up being pretty bad for me in general. Like you would think, and I remember, like y'all may not even remember when we were in preview season, and people were talking about how good this card was and blah blah. I literally kept staring at it, and I'm like, I don't know, y'all. Like I on two different podcasts, I remember having to talk people down on like, I don't know about this one, and sure enough, I was right. This ended up doing nothing, and I like green black big monstery things like Ward of Sacrifice of Food, so it's great against control decks. Like should be checking so many boxes, and it just doesn't. But yeah, like the problem is squirrels are good pieces for other decks. Like if you just need stuff that makes food or whatever, like you just need extra artifacts. This card's great. 2 mana, 3/2. It creates a food when it enters. It creates food when it leaves. Awesome, right? That can make the cut. Occasionally, you'll see Valley Rotcaller in the like lizard type decks, right? It's just draining your opponent for some extra damage. Cool. But altogether as a pile, squirrels got robbed. Like raccoons at least got efficient mana with life gainers. Like lizards got a bunch of pingers, can do stuff without even attacking. Obviously, the mice got all bunch of cool stuff. And like squirrels just got robbed. Like that's the sad reality to this one. And you also end up playing worse cards in some cases to justify the squirrels, I felt like. But like, I don't mind scavenger talent in non-squirrel decks, right? Like doing other things to generate the food and get stuff out of the grave. Matter of fact, we played this in the in our Bifongs or our Bayfongs deck, right? So the combo-y thing that lets you do all kinds of silly stuff. Like so this goes into a bunch of decks. But Stock the Pantry is just too slow for a lot of things. Like obviously Bitter Triumph's good. Fell is inferior. It's a sorcery. You could just play other. I'd rather just play another Bitter Triumph before I play a Fell. Osteomancer, it's fine. Doesn't greatly work out a lot the way we want to. Camellia is decent if the game. It's weird. It's a help. It's a style points card, right? I feel like it helped us win more, win better, not win more, win better. I hate the term win more actually, because people say, "Oh, it's just a win more card." No, if a card helped me win more, I want it in the deck. This card helps me win better, right? It's not going to help me win games that I'm not otherwise going to win. It helps me win games when I'm already in an okay to winning position. And I think that was the issue. Like if it was even just give squirrels +1/+1 or +1/+0 or whatever, like some ability automatically. Because like Menace is nice, but I mean, a lot of times you have one or the squirrel, maybe two other squirrels anyway. So it's just not the best. Like Harvester, I probably wouldn't even play in here, even though it's a food. The Dre Leader is reasonable, but not good. You know, is the best way I would describe it. Yes, Camellia is good only if you're not playing Igra. I mean, that's one way to look at it. Obviously, Rottenmouth Viper is fine, but I would just play Viper with more artifact creatures, right? We have a bunch of artifact creatures that when they die, you get a thing, or creatures that when they die, you get a thing. So I'd rather just do that than have to kind of force the issue, really. But yeah, it's tough. This is one that, like, again, like I said, I could give you all the information to make it better to where I thought my squirrels decks were better, but better isn't good. Better is just acceptable, at best. But I can't see a world where you're going to play squirrels consistently against the other aggro decks and win more than 40% if you're lucky, probably 30%. Just because all the other aggro decks are just doing things better. Like, the black decks are going to have better spot removal. They get flyers. They get death touch creatures. Those creatures are all doing things, losing extra life, drawing cards, blah, blah. Right? The green creatures are just bigger on a cost-by-cost basis. So that's already an issue. And now they're able to ramp up and play Crater Hoofs and stuff. So, they're just, honestly, and I would say even if you're just going to play Golgari, they're just better things to be doing. I mean, you got the Sentinel of the Last City or whatever that thing is, the 3/4, right? Like, that's better. You still have the 2/4 Vampire that's better. You have the rooms that you could play. Hell, you have Maelstrom Pulse. There's just way better cards you could just be playing, even in those colors, if you want to be playing a creature deck. So, I get it. I think squirrels are a popular creature type. People love playing them in Commander. They've always been a favorite. I was very disappointed they just didn't get better cards in Bloomburrow. Like, it's the one of the creature types in Bloomburrow. If we were to go back to Bloomburrow in, I don't know, 2027, 2028, I would bet squirrels get a big boost and some of the others get downplayed a bit. Probably like squirrels and frogs probably get a big boost comparative to the other ones. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, that's another good point, too. It's Yeager or Snake. You're not trying to do both of those at the top end. And honestly, Snake the Viper has more value. Bristlebud Farmer? Yeah, that's also a good card. I just play Bristlebud Farmer in some green decks. No, Nico says I'm headed to box lunch now. I don't blame you. That's kind of the decision we made. I found out about it, told my woman, and she was like, well, let's just go to the mall. And I was like, all right, cool. And we just went out and had us an evening, went to the mall. I'm no longer doing videos of Color Magic Pockets. They have been on audio if you want to catch them out. They're still on the channel. You can just go to our podcast tab and you can catch them there. So you can play them on YouTube if you want to. Like, you can literally click them and they will come up on YouTube. Those have the static logo at the top. Still the same thing. But yeah. Red, black. I'm at 2-2. More our moves are made than I have than shock board state B. I have no idea what you're saying here, Andrew. That feels like 3 different sentences are running on there, and I am confused as to where they start and stop. But yeah, this one I would. Yeah, this is tough because, like I said, I would love to help you with this, but I know that no matter how much help I give you, squirrels ain't it. You're better off making it a, discard artifact creature Viper deck, or just doing really good Golgari things, and you're going to be much happier, sadly. I just hope you didn't spend too many wild cards building this one out, because squirrels are not good. I wish I had other news, but squirrels are not good. I have tried many times on that one. Multiple people have tried. As a matter of fact, we've probably had squirrels come up every third time we do a Deck Doctor stream. So there's people reasonably want it to be playable. It's not. Now, I will say this. Let me back up for a second. I'll say this for squirrels. We do have Lorwyn coming in, 3 months, right? It's possible. I guess 2 months now. But, it's possible that some number of changelings, assuming we get a reasonable, 2 mana and 3 mana changeling, that do something worthwhile, could fit into a squirrels deck. Maybe. We'll see. But that's probably the only way they get a boost. At least right now. No, Badger Mole Cub does nothing for squirrels. Like squirrels, mana isn't the issue. It's the card quality. The individual squirrels themselves are just worse than what every other creature is doing at their cost, right? The 2 mana squirrel is good, right? 2 mana, 3/2, basically make 2 food, right? Like that card's fine. But Camellia doesn't do much. The Dre Leader doesn't do much. Like when you look at what all the other decks are doing for 3 and 4 mana, like they're getting bigger creatures and creatures that have better abilities consistently. You're not getting that, right? Mana's not the problem. Let's see. That's exactly what I did. I shifted away from this deck. Then I made more Viper decks because you can put haste on your Viper. Oh, there's a billion things you can do with Viper that are still gonna surprise people out of the blue. Came to ask about your Golgari deck. Fair. If you're going to play Badger Mole Cub, just play that. Squirrels is like a C tier. I don't even think it's C tier. I wouldn't even put squirrels on my tier. If I were to make a tier list, it's D at best, and it probably goes in F right now. Like, I would almost put it in F just so people would be deterred from trying because I know how bad they want to, and they're going to waste a bunch of resources building it. Like, it's just the way it is. I think that's kind of what happened. Raccoons are just... Oh, yes. Raccoon... Literally, I've built multiple raccoon decks on the channel and have gone like 8-2, 6-1, blah, blah, like regularly. Because the raccoons are just bigger and better, right? You have a raccoon that makes mana and gets bigger when you play stuff. You have a raccoon that gains you life and makes you mana every turn. You have a raccoon that lets you skimp on playing artifact and enchant removal because it just kills stuff. You have a raccoon that for 1 mana lets you exile stuff from the graveyards, which is a popular thing right now, right? They just do so much more than the squirrels do. Like those 4 raccoons effectively carry a raccoon deck. You know, it does so much. So many things, like bats are better. Humans are better. Soldiers at times have been better recently than squirrels, right? Legends as a pile are better. Obviously, mice are, like, we could name probably 15 different creature types that are better than squirrels. Yeah, I don't even think it's a question. And it sucks because, like I said, I know a lot of people want squirrels to be good, and they're just not. And we see it regularly, and I just have to keep telling people, like, it's unfortunate. Like, we've tried. I've seen other people try. Like, we've all been through it. Because even when the set came out, I'm like, sweet, I'm gonna build a squirrel deck. And then after like a month of trying, I'm like, yeah, these aren't good. And there's no new squirrels. You know, you weren't getting extra squirrels in Duskmorn or hell, anything really. I mean, nothing has had a squirrel since. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe there might be a chance you get something in Lorwyn, but I wouldn't put money on it. I mean, it's possible, but I wouldn't be taking any bets in that direction if I were you. Like that feels like a trap that you'd be setting yourself up for, if I were guessing. But yeah, let me go see what this is here. We've got this deck, which says mono green counters. All right, this feels like something we could probably work with. Let's see what the deck list is. I have a feeling we've done something like this if it's mono green counter, so this should probably be quick and easy. All right, what do we got here? We're doing Badger Mole Cub, into this, into this. Yeah, this is mostly fine. If anything, I would say you probably just don't need to be like. I don't think you need 4 Terra Symbiosis. I get that we're trying to draw cards, but like we're really not trying to draw cards. We're trying to draw cards as a backup plan because something else didn't go right. You know what I mean? like I would be playing more. Like I would probably trim something in the 3 slot to get in another 1 mana artifact or the 1 mana artifact creature, the 1/2. Right? Because our whole goal is we need mana to do all of this. And if we don't have a 1 mana artifact or 1 mana creature, then we're just going to play Cub on 2 and stare at our opponent. And then we're hoping the 4 mana on turn 3 does what? Right? Like, we maybe play 2 Wild Guides. Like, that's our best turn. Because playing Ouroboros just naked on turn 3 is nice, but it's not doing anything, and it's probably just going to die. Right? So you want to be having the turns where you turn 1 mana creature, turn 2 Cub, or turn 2 Wild Guide and another 1/1, or turn 2 Cub and another 2 mana thing. Then you can ramp off and just like play Crater Hoof on the next turn or whatever. I think that's part of the problem. I don't even mind Cultivate. I don't even mind Crater Hoof and Ouroboros being in here. I just think we have to trim to find room for things to make stuff work, so the numbers are right. Like Brawler's fun, but it's another 5 mana thing, so I would trim there to start. And then get in whatever that is, type artifact, type creature, mana. What is that guy? This guy, Pollinator. I would load up on this. Because this comes back to the thing of what we talked about in the other video, right? But also, thanks for that, by the way. That while getting cards is nice, and we understand we don't want to run out of cards and blah, blah, and all that. But at the end of the day, your goal is, I just want to beat you down. I don't even necessarily want to draw Terra Symbiosis. I want to be drawing stuff that's going to like keep putting the pedal to the floor, right? Like that's what our goal should be. Right? So that to me is better. Now, if you wanted to defend the rider or something like that over the Symbiosis, that's probably better. But yeah, I just don't think you need to be doing all that. Like you could literally just go mana creature, 2 mana creatures, or a Boroid, and then that's just a better turn 3 even. You know what I mean? Like now you have a board that's sizable and your opponent has to do something about it. Like that would just be better. Yeah, Brawler's just actually excess action for the sake of being action. It tramples, which is nice, but arguably, if I was going to do this, I wouldn't even play Symbiosis. Actually, you know what? I wouldn't even play Symbiosis or Brawler. What I would do is I would play this. Like one of these and maybe 2 or 3 of these. And that's a little more exciting. Especially if you have stuff like Enter with counters from a Warden of the Grove or something. Like there's some value to be had there. But I don't know. I mean, this seems fine. What other type creature add mana? Oh, I guess if I make this make sense. There we go. Great Divide Guide's interesting because it's just a mana creature itself. But oh, actually, you know what? No, never mind. We're missing one of our favorite duders, the Paleontologist. Though, how badly do we want the mana? It's really like, how badly are we trying to do Ouroboros Crater Hoof stuff? Is the question. Like, how badly are we trying to get to there? One of those. I mean, thing is, like, Predator Ooze is fine. It does survive the sweepers, which I like. But it also starts so small by comparison to everything else you could be doing. But it is a real option of a card, so I don't hate it. And having the creatures that trample is also good with the counters. 18, 22. Wow, 4 Bossing Say. I'd probably cut 1. I don't think you need that many. Because you don't want to completely stumble early. You want to make sure you have at least 1 untapped one for one of these knuckleheads on the first couple turns. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I still want to cut something else. But if you were willing to play 61 with all those mana creatures, then I guess this is fine. If you wanted to go to 60, I'd probably cut a Predator Ooze. That's probably what I would do. There's always going to be hard counters to every single style of play. Absolutely. 100%. And that's why I made that video of telling people, like, if you're trying to make your deck deal with every single answer and not die to every single answer or whatever, like, then you have a deck that does nothing, right? It's a bunch of just random answers in a pile, but you're losing your core focus of whatever the deck is. So sometimes you just have to say, like, all right, cool. If you just have, I'm playing this deck, if you just happen to have 3 removals and a sweeper in your first 4 turns, then, like, congrats, you got me. Right? Like, if you do, you do. I'm just willing to deal with it. Like, that's just what we're up against, you know? And that's okay. Like, that's fine. If you want card draw, mono green, Surrak, Spinner of Souls. Yeah, exactly. That's why Surrak ended up making the cut. I like Surrak here just because it tramples, right? If we are going to put counters on things with Warden of the Grove and Ouroboros, like, there's a chance you can get in for a little extra damage and make their blocks bad. So, I don't mind that. Also, being able to move counters from Paw Patch Recruit, or using Paw Patch Recruit on turn 2. If you don't have any of these other cards, it's fine. Making 2 bodies, right? Like, that's still good. But yeah, if I was going to do it, this is closer to what I would play. Like, I get the counters are nice, but realistically, consistency is bigger, or more important. And you could still cast all this on time, right? With this setup, I would be shocked if you can't almost always play Ouroboros on turn 3. Like, some number of mana creatures on 1 and 2, and then Ouroboros when you're ready. Like, you could play Llanowar Elf, it dies, you play Wild Guide into Ouroboros, fine. Right? Or, if you just don't want to do that, like, you have other reasonable cards you could play, right? Set up a Warden, or just play a Surrak on 2 if you have, like, a Llanowar Elf. Like, there's just more lines of play that I think are available here that you didn't have before. I would go with this. Goldvein Hydra is, like, cute, but often doesn't do enough. I would only play Goldvein Hydra in decks where the X and the cost mattered, or I needed the ramp up from the extra treasure or something. I don't think this deck needs either of those things. And playing, say, like a Hydra on 2, say you go Llanowar Elf into Hydra, like, that's not going to be better than playing a Surrak or Warden of the Grove or a Sharpshooter or whatever. Like, they're all just going to do more damage over the same period of time and have other upside for you. So I would just not. That's why it doesn't make the cut in most lists. Would you add black and add a Beifong sword? Nah, not really. I don't think you need to. And really, we don't have that much stuff we could take advantage of it with. It'd literally just be Badgermole Cub and then the Beifongs itself, just to give you defense against sweepers. But, you have your Predator Ooze, you have your Ba Sing Se. Just take the gamble, you know. But yeah, that's where I'd go on this one. Not really a lot to add. Like I said, I think we've seen versions of this and played it, and there's varieties of this going around that are already solid, so I don't think any of us would be surprised by any results or anything there. Let's see. Next up, we have... Ooh, we're probably not going to get to everybody, it looks like. We might have some issues, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the queue. We'll see what we can get through. But we will do our best. Okay. Looks like we have one that's called Blue-White Tempo. That's pretty self-explanatory. So this shouldn't be too bad. Let's see what we got. Did that not load, or did I not copy it? Oh, wait. Oop, hold on. Oh, because it's down here. Got it. I can delete that one, I think. All right. Let's see what we're doing. Clear this up just a little bit. So we have Momo, Spell Lake. This is fine. Yeah, this is just a Blue-White Flyers list. I mean, it's just a variation. Personally, I do like the other version that is playing. Like, you can, I don't know, I guess you could play the one that, like, the Airbender Ascension. You can also play the other enchantment in the new set that gives all your flyers +1/+1 and makes a clue, I think it is. And then, you know, because 4 Riddlers is kind of a lot, so you can make room for something else. But generally, this is one that's just fine. I mean, there's not a lot to change on this one. I don't know how badly you need Wan Shi Tong, and it looks like it's a little mana heavy, honestly. At 24 lands, this is one that you could probably get away with 22 or 23 lands, because realistically, outside of Washington Tong and the Riddler, you don't really have stuff that costs anything. And you also have the option of playing like lifelink flyers if you wanted to, you know. Because I wouldn't even call this a tempo list, really. This is more just blue-white aggro. Not necessarily a hard focus on the flyers, but it does care about the flyers. And obviously, like Momo gives you good value, making your other stuff cheaper. But yeah, this is fine. There's not a lot to do to this one. I mean, I would say just search the internet, look at the 10 or 12 different variations of this deck, and just choose which cards you want to play. Like, there's not a lot to say about this one. I could nitpick and be like, all right, well, maybe you don't really need the drowners as much because you're being super aggressive. Switch out the drowners for more actual flyers, right? Because you don't really care about the things on the ground, which is what most people are playing. So, like, we could nitpick to those levels and, like, where we want to pull some levers. But if anything, I would just reduce the number of Riddlers. I mean, I just don't think you need 4 of them. Like, this deck doesn't want to take the turn off to just pay 2, draw a card. Like, that's not the type of game you're playing. You want to be playing creatures to take advantage of Momo to keep moving things forward. I mean, technically, I guess you'd be doing it for 1 if you have a Momo, but you get what I'm saying. Like, 2 or 3, sure. 2 for sure. 3 maybe. 4 is too many, I think. Sure, it can turn off Earthbent lands, but again, that's not the game we're trying to play. We're an aggro deck. Like, just slowing the opponent down for us to have an attacker that's never going to attack is not the game we're trying to play. You know what I mean? Like, we're playing counters and other stuff, we'll deal with their stuff that way. Right? We have Into the Flood Maw. We can bounce creatures. Like, we're not trying to spend 2 mana to not get something that's going to move the game plan forward. That, to me, starts to fall into, I want my deck to do too much. Right? I'm trying to add answers for things when your plan should just be turn 1 creature, turn 2, 2 creatures, turn 3, play a creature and a counter or a creature and a bounce spell. Maybe turn 4, play something that pumps my team with some backup so I don't lose to a sweeper. Right? That's what a perfect game would look like. At least to me. If I'm playing the blue-white flyers, that's what I want my game to look like. Especially if I'm playing a tempo style deck. Right? The Drowner doesn't necessarily fit into that plan for me. Those are the only 2 spots I would make changes. The rest, they're all fine cards. They're all good. Not a lot to really critique. I think you're probably going to get a fair number of wins even with how it looks, truthfully. Like, it's a pile of decent cards, and Aang Swift Savior might be the best card in the Avatar set. I mean, not really a secret. But yeah, that's where I'd be on that. There's unfortunately, not much else to say on that one. It kind of just is what it is. But again, there's versions of that already going around. Feel free to search around. It's just, like I said, do you want to replace the Drowners? Do you want to replace some number of the other? And you can also do the things where, like, you Momo on 1, and then maybe play the 4/6, and then blink it, right? So you just get a 4/5 or 4/6 permanently, and you get 2 cards that turn. So, like, there's some silly stuff you could do if you really want to. Wouldn't necessarily recommend making that the plan, but it is a thing you can do. This is for Turner number 3. So we'll get this in here and see what we got. This deck says, oh gosh, what happened here? Turner, this doesn't go to a deck. This just goes to your personal, this doesn't go to a specific deck. You're going to have to reload. Like, I think you sent a link that's just like to a deck page or something of where you keep all your decks, but it's not to an individual deck. I need the link to the exact deck you're trying to have us look at. So you're going to have to re-enter the queue. I'm going to move on to the next person, who is... Oh, this is Catastrophe. Welcome, friend. Let's load this. This is Lessons, which I feel like there's already some Lessons decks going around. Let's see. We have Accumulate. Let me do it this way. So, Boomerang Basics, Accumulate Wisdom, Metal Quincha. Yeah, I think the only issue I really ran into with these was the limited number of threats in these lists. I think that was the only problem I really had. Because I tried putting one together, and it was a weird thing of trying to figure out making sure I have enough lessons, but also making sure I have enough ways to win the game. And then I saw one that was playing the artist talent, I think it was. So they could just like keep cycling through cards, and then some of these lessons actually said like draw a card, or like this one where it's like discard, draw. Like, so they always had fodder in their hands, which was kind of interesting. So I thought that was kind of neat. Not a big fan of Fire Spitter. Well, mostly because like you can get extra damage off of it, but it's just a 2/2. I feel like there's got to be something better we could do with their mana. Yeah, I get what you're trying to do with dragons. It's cool. But if I was going to do dragons, like I would just go harder on the dragons. Like find a place where I could skimp 1 or 2 on maybe each of the lessons and take more advantage of the dragons. Or even like Sarkin, you know, to get you the extra treasure and then still be able to have a bigger creature. Or they'll have spent some removal on things like Sarkin, so when you play something like the Dragonfly, it's even harder for them to deal with, potentially. So I might do something like that. Yeah, no, Ran and Shaw is just a good card, period. Like, I don't have a problem with that. Like, card's fine. I'm not going to down talk that. But that would probably be where I would, like, cut down a Boomerang Basics. It's hard to cut on any of these, though, because these are both very good. The problem is, though, like, you do still have the dragon thing that deals 4 damage to a creature straight up, which is kind of... And it's an instant. Yeah, it's a weird mix. Because this wants you to have more lessons, obviously. And Ran and Shaw are going to benefit from lessons. But nothing else really does. And we have a better counter and a better removal spell if we're just focusing on dragons, I think is the issue. Because, what's it? Deal for dragon. This thing. Right? This is just going to be better most of the time if we're doing a focus on dragons. Like, don't be wrong. Like, this does have the option of occasionally dealing 1 to a bunch of stuff, but I'm not even sure how many things I would kill more than 1 creature with this against a lot of decks. I mean, well, hell, yeah, even the green decks just have, like, well, you might get lucky and get to kill, like, Llanowar Elf plus the 2/1 Rabbit, maybe. That might be the only major difference. But the fact that this can be played at instant speed is a bigger deal. And then, of course, you have the counter, right? If you control a dragon. The Dispelling Exhale, this thing, right? So that's going to be better than Quincha a bunch of times, too. So, like, that's kind of the issue if we're going to lean on dragons. Because really, this is if you're hard on dragons, really the only thing that's getting a bigger benefit off of the lessons is Dragonfly Swarm. Otherwise, the lessons are just kind of like okay spells, but they're not bringing a lot to the table. The sack decks, yeah, that's true. They do run some 1 toughness. They have ways of getting stuff back or sacrificing it for abilities or whatever anyway. Or half the stuff dies and leaves them a token back. So, like, that's kind of the issue. Like, you're playing dragons, but you're playing worse spells, right? When it comes to Quincha and the Iroh's demonstration. For the most part. Like I said, there are some corner cases where this can do a little more work against 1 toughness things. But you do have 2 other really good spells. At instant speed, you're giving up over that. And we're also taking away space, like I said, that could play Sarkin, could play Hellkite. you know, could play five. Well, you're probably not playing too many of the other 5-mana dragons if you're going hard on Ren and Shaw. So that's probably eating up that slot. But maybe there's a mix. You know, I guess the problem is how many lessons do you cut before Dragonfly becomes less exciting? I think is the problem, right? And I don't know what that number is, actually. Should it be like... Because then you'd be down to just 4. Well, this is a lesson, though. So that's still 8. That's a tough one. I don't know what the right answer is there. But yeah, that would be my concern. And, you know, if you're going to play lessons, it is tough not playing green so you could play Iroh, right? Because then he just lets you play everything from the yard for 1 mana. Though, by the way, I think accumulate wisdom almost makes it good enough to play all the other lessons. Because just 2 mana to get 3 cards is sicko. Like, it's super good. Yeah, this Iroh. This guy. During your turn, each non-lesson instant or sorcery in your graveyard has flashback. And then during your turn, each lesson in your graveyard has flashback for 1. This guy's silly. Yeah, I'm not even looking to Eddie Merc Crab in here. Like, I don't think that's what this deck needs. I mean, you can, but I don't know how much better that is. Yeah, Accumulate Wisdom's probably the best lesson in the set. Assuming you're playing enough lessons to fuel it. Like, 2 mana for 3 cards is so absurdly good. It's hard to turn that down. Taigam in lessons? Do I not even own those? Well, no. Why does that not come up? Wait. Nope. It's set to the right format. Hell if I know why they don't come up. Did I spell it wrong? Is it TIA? Oh, it's GAM. That's why. It tells you how often I've played this card. Literally 0 times. When you cast your second spell each turn, copy it, and then exile the spell. Then exile the spell you cast with 4 time counters on. Yeah, I'm not excited to do that. It just feels like you're going to take too long to get your value that you want. Like, so you'd have to cast, like, say, Boomerang Basics to bounce something. Then we shoot something. And then this would just sit there for 3 more turns. To, like, And it's just a 2/2. Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. How does multiple Ran and Shaw work? Your second one, you just get 1 new token, basically. Because you have an original and a token that's not legendary. You play the second one, your original one dies, or whichever one you want to die. The token stays because it's not legendary, then you get a new token. So you go from 2 dragons to 3 dragons. Time counters are too long for it to be useful in this aggregate. Yeah, I agree. And just in the current meta in general, it's not what you're wanting to do. You already have a very vulnerable creature that only has upside if you're willing to cast 2 spells on the turn. And then you have to wait 4 more turns to get the value from it, right? Like, that's not great. Yeah, bouncing your Ran and Shaw is something you can do. I wouldn't say great, but it's a thing. If it's a sorcerer instant, it only activates once. I'm guessing the exiled one doesn't trigger until 4 turns later. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, the second one, you cast it, and then it just sits over there for a while. So you'll still cast it, and it'll still go off. You just get a copy that's just going to chill for a bit. Making Teamer would let you doppelgang your Ran and Shaw. That is funny. And you get to play Iroh. Yeah, I don't know. This is one I really need to think about, because I only lightly tinkered with the list for lessons, and I kind of remember having the same thought of, like, I want more dragons. But then we're kind of going through the same thought process now of like, well, if I had dragons, I'm having to take away room or swap some spells. And then at that point, is it even a lessons deck, right? Because you're giving up the best lesson, which is accumulate wisdom. So it's almost just like, is this as good as the deck can be if we're willing to force lessons, right? Because I feel like if you don't have at least a minimum 12, but probably more like 16 lessons, you can't really justify having lessons, right? Because you need to get to 3 in the yard for these things. Do the lesson, sorcery, or instance count as 2 types with fear of missing out? I believe lesson is a subtype, so I don't believe they count as one of the core types. I think it's just an instant, if I'm not mistaken. Figured out and re-uploaded also in the Discord if anybody else wants to check it out and critique it. Yeah, but that's probably my issue here. I don't know. I'm part of me says like we might be better off just being a blue-red dragon deck. But maybe that's just not true. Maybe there, or could we still leave in, say, like, Boomerang Basics, that's 4. Wisdom is 8. We leave in Combustion Technique is 12. And then Attachments is still 16. The problem, though, is we still didn't add any dragons. Yeah, because then we're just like swapping quenches and combust for the dragon spells, but we haven't really switched anything in the deck. Or not combust, but demonstration. Yeah, this is one I'd have to noodle on a bit more. Because I feel like there is a middle ground somewhere in here. Because the other dragons generally, and to some extent, Sarkin, are just better creatures that could help this deck get to the finish line sooner. Because we don't have, I mean, we have 14 creatures, but one of them doesn't really do much. The other is also fairly small, but could be like, you know, an 8/3 or something, you know, right? And it does have wards, so it's not like the worst thing. I mean, Runescale Stormbrood is a little light, but that's fine. You know, you play spells and pump it up. So, like, it feels like this can still get there. I don't think this is necessarily a deck that can't win games. I just feel like we got to find a better middle ground to take advantage of more dragons, I think. But yeah, I'm not sure what that would look like. I would have to tinker around with it a bit. But I might experiment and see if like 13-ish lessons are enough to justify it. And if I could get away with that, I might start squeezing numbers from there and seeing what I could do. I've been looking at one that I haven't even bothered playing yet. And for the same reasons. Like, for me, the only lesson deck I saw that looked like it was really trucking with lessons was the one that was playing, like I was saying, the artist talent and the monument and, you know, just drawing and discarding and killing you that way or whatever and pinging you along the way. And that one was decent, you know, but again, I don't know if the lessons individually are strong enough to be better than leaning on dragons. I think that's where I'm kind of fixated. But I don't think it's bad because all the lessons are doing good things, right? They're obviously solid. So I don't think that's the issue. It's just, is there enough there? I don't know. I mean, it does have, because it has the things to deal with early creatures, right? You have Combustion Technique, you've got Demonstration, you've got Quencha. So you at least have stuff to do against the creature decks, even if you don't play a dragon for a few turns. And I think that's fine. At this point, I'm wondering why you bother. Oh, you might be behind on the stream. Because we haven't talked about Toph in a minute. Let's see. Reggie says, I've noticed by the time I'm ready to play Toph. Oh, y'all talking about the deck that's posted in the Discord. Gotcha. All right. I see where we're going. There's just like multiple conversations happening. I was a bit lost for a second. But yeah, I don't know what else to really do there. Like I said, I think, and honestly, maybe it's just supposed to be lessons with other creatures, and the only dragons in there are the 3-mana dragon and the Ranin-Shaw. And maybe that's it too, right? Maybe we just lean on other creatures, and there's another answer there. So I don't know. We'll have to see. That's one we'll have to just ruminate on for a bit, because I don't know the right direction just. And I also think we're at the point we probably haven't seen enough different lessons builds to kind of know where the best version would lie right now. That's a little tough too. But let's see what the next one is we have here. We have, this is from Adam Lavadin. And this is, oop. Let me make sure I'm pulling up the right one, because I almost pulled up the wrong thing. There we go. All right, this will work. Nope, I did it wrong again. Gosh dang it. Operator error. There we go. Got it. This is Golgari Mole Symbiosis, it says. I have a feeling this is going to be just like the other deck we looked at, because there's a lot of versions of this already going around. But I'm going to look at it anyway, because you took the time to get into the queue, so I'm going to look at it. All right, what are we doing here? This is... oh, gosh. All right, so we're going Llanowar Elves, Hydra, Badger Mole to... I have a lot of why. A lot of why being asked here. My first why is Deadly Cover-Up. But I know you're going to say, well, Deadly Cover-Up, if I already have a Beifong's Bounty Hunters, then cool. Sure, I guess. But we're trying to be an aggro deck, making counters and putting counters on things. Like, you don't need that. You're already playing black for removal, and you should have equal or bigger creatures than your opponents. Like, we're just wasting a spot on the Deadly Cover-Up. Symbiosis, fine, I get it. We have a bunch of stuff putting counters on things. Lively Dirge. I guess we're hoping to get to, 5 mana? So we can do everything on this and then get either of these guys. But I would rather just start by playing another just Beifong's Bounty Hunters, personally. Yeah, I mean, I get it, what the deck's doing. Again, I'm just trying to decide how much more of an aggro deck can we just be and just be more aggressive. Like, and I have to ask the real question of, is this significantly better than just, like, spinning the spots on stuff like Hydra and Terra Symbiosis? Is that better than just having the combo part of this deck as well, right? If you put in the vampire that returns when you play a land, you play in the dude that sacrifices stuff, and then you have Beifongs, and you can go search for them. Right? Like, Like, that just gives you a combo out that's just better. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a thing we could do. Like, that's sort of what I'm wondering here. If just... not saying it has to be your game plan, but it could be your plan B, right? If the board gets gummed up and you're just like, okay, well, I'm just going to combo off here. Right? So, like, it's an option. I don't know if it's great, but it's a thing. Because, like, the removal's fine. It's doing removal things in black. I don't think any of it's terrible. Like, I get Hydra's cool. It's great if we have, like, Symbiosis already into a Hydra, and then that's flashy. You play your Hydra, get, like, 3 cards or whatever. Like, that's cool. But otherwise, So I'm sort of just wondering if that's a thing. The end removes every basic and then... well, that's if they also put it on a basic. And if that's worth it is the other part of it, too. If it's like, yeah, you do it, but if they already have other creatures that are killing you, The end's not a bad card, though. I just... don't know if it even matters that much in this type of situation. You should have enough removal to deal with the problematic things, I think. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Rumble Arena. Is this thing oh, because it's a land you can put counters on and just have it have vigilance, I guess. Yeah, not excited about this, actually. If I was gonna do this and I was gonna play a land that just tapped for colorless, I might as well just play the one that makes stuff unblockable or whatever. The one that just has unblockable. Right? I'd just be happier with that. I mean, that would be my assumption. But that's just me. I would just like that way more. Because it's not like we have a sack outlet to make this do anything significant. So I'd rather just have the option of making something unblockable. Granted, you're only going to do, well, just the land itself would be unblockable. Otherwise, your best bet would be like, you can make these two humans unblockable, I guess. Because nothing else has a shared creature type, I don't think. Badger Mole, this is Vampire Villain. That's a human warrior. That's a plant worm. Yeah, so that'd be your only real option of making those unblockable. But, yeah, you know, maybe. So yeah, that's probably it. That would be my question. Is it worth it to lean on Hydra and Symbiosis and not just take the option to at least have the combo in the deck? That would be my question, because I think the combo is still good enough to just has it as a I win card or a thing you could search for with Dirge, right? Because right now we do have Dirge, but I'm assuming at best we're searching for either Ouroboros or just putting this into play, but just putting it into play doesn't necessarily do anything. It's a defensive measure in case something happens. Ouroboros obviously is a good card, for so searching for that's just totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. I, mm. But that's my question. I don't really know. Hey, new subscriber, thanks. The combo would have room for removal though. Like you could literally just do this and then cut like one of these guys and then play. It's like Umbro Caller Zealot. Yeah, this thing. And then that automatically combos anywhere with Bifong's Bounty Hunter if you want to like reuse lands or do stuff or whatever, right? Like that could give you some options. And then Vampire Graveyard turn. And then blood gas, some number of blood gas, 3 or 4, I don't know. We could find spots to squeeze room for it or whatever. But you could still leave most of your removal alone. I don't think we have to cut too much of it. You get 2, 4, 6, 8. And still have a fair amount of things on turn 2 now to be a little more aggressive. Makes the Rumble Arena a little more shaky, but I don't hate it. We did add more creatures though, right? So we went up to 27. So I mean, you could leave one Lewis as like a finisher if you wanted to make sure you had at least a reasonable chance of hitting the combo. And then you still have 8 removal spells. You now have more creatures. You got more Bifongs in there, so you make it a little easier to do the thing. So like, you know, maybe. I mean, you can pick and choose what removal you want to play. I mean, black has a lot of options. And green has a bunch of stuff too if you're worried about graveyards or whatever, right? They could be strategic betrayals or other things if you wanted to do that. So that's also an option. But yeah, removal package, take your pick. I would rather take my chances doing this than only having the like Terra Symbiosis and whatever. Because I could see situations where while you are putting counters on things and maybe you're getting a card here or there, you didn't, outside of really Lewis and the Worm, you didn't have a lot of ways to put counters on things. So it was mostly just going to be Ouroboros anyway in most cases. And Ouroboros is just going to be winning if you're attacking, right? Like So the cards only halfway mattered anyway. Oh, no, no. I understand that the combo's doing other. I'm just saying, like, you can have that as an option in here since you're playing Lively Dirge anyway and can search for it. It's it's the backup plan more than anything else. And even then, if we're worried about that, like, we're at 27 creatures. So if we just wanted to say, all right, we accept this as a backup plan, and then we're going to go ahead and still want to play Terra Symbiosis, like, that's also fine, right? And you can still leave a couple of those in there. Like, and I think that's fine too. And you still have finishers in here. You still have a combo out if things get crazy. You still have Beifong, so you could turn lands into creatures, even in like creature battle fights or whatever. So that's fine. Hell, and honestly, Bloodghast still isn't bad because at some point your opponent's just going to want to chump block it, but then you turn those into counters on your lands, and then you get it back anyway. So like even that's fine as an interaction. But yeah, no, I don't think you need all that because, like I said, you're still playing just decent cards to win with. Just beat your opponent down with like the Surrak and the Ouroboros and whatever. Like you're just playing a mid-rangey Golgari deck that's just doing the other thing. Now that being said, if you want to go completely a different route and you just wanted to care about counters, I would go hard even on like the Black Green Siege to play that if you wanted to, because that's other value, and I think you can give stuff Menace, if I remember right. Yeah. You draw a card by putting a counter on a thing, or any when you attack, put a counter on something, and it gains Menace till end of turn. So like that's the other option too. A little 2-mana thing you can put in here and get steady, consistent value as well. I mean, in a weird way, it kind of combos with the Hollow Merc Siege, because worst case scenario, you're just like, all right, I'm just getting a card a turn on like a Llanowar Elf or something. So like that's an option. But I think what we've seen today is there's multiple people who are wanting to do stuff with Terra Symbiosis right now, and Terra Symbiosis isn't making an impact in a lot of the games that we're seeing. I mean, that would be the other thing I'd be concerned about too. And I couldn't even tell you 100% why that's the issue, other than unless you already have the board set up, Terra Symbiosis doesn't do enough for the 3-mana fast enough in a lot of cases. And it's weird because Terra Symbiosis is probably better as a card that just sits there against the control decks, right? Because then every creature becomes a thing of just like, okay, well, I'm going to put counters on a thing, right? And now they have to answer it, or it's like 2 more cards. And that's where you get the advantage, right? So it's probably better against the control decks, and it's probably suffering against a lot of the creature decks, which is why we're not seeing a lot of it right now. Because even all the green and the green-black decks we're seeing, they're just going value cards across the board. And if your things already draw cards, or they, you know, you're playing maps or whatever, cool, but they're not wasting time on a card like Terra Symbiosis. Yeah, well, there's just other cards that do the thing, right? Like, you could just play the room and get a card every turn. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you might want to play a couple more demons or whatever, but, like, it just gets a card every turn. So you can just play it. Or you play the 3/4 that just gives you the maps every turn, and then you're just using the maps, right? So there's just more there. But I do get the idea of like, okay, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play my earthbending stuff. We're going to put counters on things every turn. Like, the concept is there. Like, I get it. I get why people want to do it. It just hasn't worked out. Like, that's all I'm saying. It's like, so far, we have yet to see a version of the deck doing that does significantly well. Not saying it can't. I'm just saying we haven't really seen much of it yet. And it might also just be we haven't figured out the right combination of cards, and the format's not mature enough yet to where we know even what combination of removal we need to play to support it or whatever. Because that's all believable, totally. Like, those could all be real reasons why that's a thing. Sideboard sweepers for all the Cub decks, but like, sort of. But I mean, if you have all your removal and you hit even too early against some of those decks, like, it's fine. Especially if you already have big creatures in the way, you've been attacking in the interim. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, those decks are good, but they're definitely beatable. That's why so many people are like, Cub's going to get banned before the end of the month. And I'm like, let's slow our roll a little bit. The format's barely had a week, Best of 3 is either Cubs, airbending, or combo control. I don't think that's what I've been seeing lately. Cubs, airbending, or combo control. I don't think that's accurate. I will take a look and confirm. Most recent league is Golgari, Aggro, Allies, Combo Omniscience, Demir, Aggro, though mid-rangey, kind of. Another Omniscience combo, another Golgari mid-range, Simic, Aggro, and Allies. I don't think that event alone even makes that true at all. One of the big challenges with 43 had some Demir aggro, Izzet control, Boros aggro, which looks like what you expect. Red deck wins. Demir control, another allies deck. Simic Ouroboroi deck. Esper control, or Esper aggro, which is like the bounce fairy pile. Orzhov aggro, which is Cosmogran Zenith stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and those are winning decks in online leagues and stuff. So, yeah, the format's still pretty diverse, I would say. I don't think that statement was accurate. Feel like the creature deck with counters, you don't want a 3-drop that doesn't pump or ping. That's fair. Top 250 is heavy with airbend combo. I don't even know where top 250 would be listed. I just look at results that are posted and deck results individually or whatever. Also, whatever is in the top 250, I'm assuming you're saying top 250 mythic ranked. I don't really know. But whatever's there right now probably won't look the same in 2 weeks. Like, people probably just played the easiest aggro deck that had some defense in it and just use that to race to mythic, because people do that every new season. They'll wait and see if Cub crushes it in tourneys. Well, that's the thing. So far, Cub has not. It shows up in 1 or 2 decks, but at least so far, between all the leagues and challenges and things like that, like, Cubs aren't dominating. It's a good card. Don't be wrong. It's a fantastic card. But it's not dominating to the level people think it is. What I think is a lot of the decks that play it, and this isn't to insult anybody, but please don't take it this way, but a lot of decks that play it tend to be easier decks to play, and they make obvious sense to the average player, especially new players. So you're going to see more of it on the ladder, which will make people think the deck is better than it is. But again, you're not seeing a lot of those doing all the crazy ranking and tournament winning or whatever. So while a card can be good and annoying, because here's the thing. Here's what I would ask people. Like, do we think Cub is going to be significantly better than Shieldred? And we survived Shieldred, right? Even though Shieldred was really good and it was annoying, like, we still survived Shieldred. And Shieldred single-handedly could win games, right? And was way harder to kill than a Cub is. But we dealt with that and it was fine. So, again, not saying that Cub can't become degenerate, but as it is right now, I don't think Cub is the bannable concern that people think it is. No, I don't think Cub is better. I think Cub is really good, but I don't think Cub's better than Shieldred. At least not right now. I think Cub might be more versatile in more formats. I think we can make that argument. But I think in Standard alone, I think we have a real argument to have there. Yeah, I said, I think the card's still good. I'm not going to sit here and say Cub's bad by any stretch. It's a fantastic Magic card. But I also think it's much easier for a format to build around dealing with Cub than it is with Shieldred, right? Because a lot of your answers to Cub are also going to be answers for other decks already, right? So if you're adding in more towards the towers or stabs or whatever, right, you're going to be able to use those against a bunch of other decks too. So you're just getting a leg up against all the aggro decks, just making sure you can deal with an early Cub. Whereas you couldn't necessarily just like hold your one big spot removal for a Shieldred, or you're going to die to the other things. And then Shieldred shows up, and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm losing 4, 5, 6 life, whatever, before I even deal with this thing. Yeah, made green catch up with some of the other colors. Yeah, in a way. But Cub is a good card. I'm not going to sit here and argue that it's not, because that would be a dumb argument. I think Cub is a fantastic Magic card. And to be honest, Mono Green being playable, or honestly, I thought Mono Green was already playable. I played it multiple times, even during the last couple of seasons. But being to a level at least people accept is good, that's fine. You know, right? It's still, you can still deal with it, right? You counter the big mana thing. Hell, I beat one the other day because I literally just had back-to-back Angs and that was it. Because like, okay, cool, you made your mana and your little dudes. I'm still attacking with all my stuff. And then I'll just Ang your, like, Ouroboros. Then the next turn, they go to play it. And then I just play the other Ang, bounce something that got counters. And now they can't block the flyer. And then we just win. And that was it. So, like, while they did get their thing and still do everything they wanted to do, like, 2 cards answered the situation, right? But that could have just as well been 1 burn spell or bounce spell and 1 of something else. And probably same result, you know? So while it's still really good, doesn't mean it's not beatable. They just have a much higher ceiling of power of things they can do on turns 4 and 5, is really what it does. In this list, what would you cut and add a pinger for the combo to work? What would you cut to add the pinger for the combo to work? Oh, you're talking about lands. If you're going to do anything, you just change some number of these lands to the, like, take out Rumble Arena and something else to play at least 3 of the desert land that pings people. And then you just make that the land that you sacrifice. Yeah, that's basically all that is. But again, you don't even need to have the combo in here. I'm just saying, like, I'm fine with it as just like a backup plan in case games go long and things go crazy. But again, we could go a whole different direction. I'm not sold on Terra Symbiosis right now. Again, you're like, what, the 3rd list we've looked at that's tried to play Terra Symbiosis today? And every time it's just kind of like, okay, we're forcing the issue to kind of justify the Terra Symbiosis. But when it works, you're going to have a fistful of cards and it's great, you know? Oh, you'd add the landfall pinger? I mean, yeah, at that point, I would just quit caring about the counters and go a whole other way. At that point, I would just go look at the list I made during the preseason and just play some version of that. If you just are really going to try to win with the combo and with the lands, that's a whole other looking deck. Like, because then you're trying to fill up the graveyard and do all that. And you're making that a whole different focus. I wouldn't do that at all. Like, that's a different thing. But again, otherwise, you know, even the version you had wasn't bad. You're still going to win games with it the way it was. So I'm not considering tell you the previous version was bad. This is just for my personal preference. It's just like, hey, at least here's a way I could draw some stuff late game, make better use of the Lively Dirge, and just have an out to combo if necessary, right? But other than that, like, yeah, you can do whatever. Like, nothing wrong with it. Again, maybe that's the thing. I'll just work on a Terra Symbiosis deck, because so many people definitely want it to be a thing. So, like, maybe that's the plan. We'll just make that one of the next few videos I focus on for next week. So it feels like that's a request people have right now. It's obviously a card people are trying to focus on. But I'm trying to remember the last deck I played with it that I would have said I really liked. And I don't know if I have one. And when it's been played against me, man, real talk, I don't even know if I've lost a game against Terra Symbiote. Maybe one? I don't know. If I have, it's been a long time. And I genuinely don't remember what it was. So that's probably not good either. Because I play a lot of games of Arena when I'm testing stuff. And even when I'm testing bad decks, I don't remember the last time I lost to it. I'm not going to say it's never happened. It's probably happened. I mean, it's inevitably had to have happened. But it's not happening frequent enough that I could even remember the last time it did happen. Or maybe I just learned to play better against Terra Symbiosis decks at some point, and maybe that's why it hasn't happened in a while. Like, I don't know. But it's been a long time. That's all I can say. Oh, boy. Okay, there's a lot of interesting things happening here. Like, the mana is all over the place right now, and I don't know why, so that's a question. I'm going to assume this is a wild card issue. So I'm going to ignore that for the second. And then we have a lot of 4 mana things without a lot of mana to get us there. So that's probably also bad. My first instinct says this is a problem. And then we've got... I'm going to sort the 2s into creatures and non-creatures here. Gallant Citizen, why are you hanging out with the pile? And oh no. Oh no. What? There's... Oh gosh. Okay. There's a lot to break down here. Gee-bus. Okay. We kind of have a counter thing happening, sort of. Like, Momo, if it dies, gets to put a counter. So, I mean, I guess that's something. I mean, Scorching Dragonfire, I get it. We're going to exile some stuff. That's fine. We don't have a lot of token makers. So, Squire's just trying to raw dog this the hard way. Right? I mean, I guess. This makes a counter when it attacks. Like, Suki's very weak, by the way. Like, it's just not a great card. We've had other versions of this, of like, play a creature, make a token, attack, make a token, do whatever. And like, we don't even play those. And those cost like 2 and 3 mana. And they give us a 4 mana one that probably is worse than most other 4 mana things we're going to play. But this puts counter. Yeah, like Gallant Citizen, you're just hanging out here. I'm just cutting you. I don't know. Like, I mean, it draws a card, but it's a 1/1 that, yeah, just... I can't be excited about this card. Like, we just have to have something better. I don't know what we want to play here, but there has to be something better. Real talk. If we're going to be this hard into Legends, why not just play the 3 mana thing? That makes Legends cost less. Oh, it's the green-white gold card from Final Fantasy. This thing, Sarah Farron. Like, why don't at least just play this? Like, it at least does something, you know, and it pumps your team. Because it wouldn't be crazy to be like, turn 1 Momo, turn 2 either of these, maybe put some counters on Momo, and then Sarah Farron flip it, and now you've had like a 4/4 and a, what is that? It'd be a 2 and a 4/5. So like, that's something. I mean, it's more appealing, but I don't know. Even that's not great because, I mean, it's better, but I'm still not excited about it. Yeah, why is Toph in here? Like, Toph is just hanging out to be like, hey, I'm going to earthbend a land? I mean, I guess if this dies, we could get it back, but that's not exciting. Like, yeah, like, Toph's just taking up space. Toph is like the opposite of what this deck feels like it's trying to do. And it's not helping anything, really. Like, I mean, I guess it gives you another creature for Suki, but that's kind of all she's doing. Yeah, Toph is kind of dead weight here. I'm not feeling Toph very much at all. Yeah, I don't, Drayden, there's just not enough counters here, I don't think, to, like... This is a case where I'm going to turn this into a deck that it's not trying to be. I would rather this... You're already 3/4 of the way there. I would rather this just be some type of Naya Legends deck. And it'd just be way more consistent. And then you could at least justify Suki a little bit. You know? Like, otherwise, I just don't see what we're doing. Like, it's a little bit like the Clockwork Percussionist is kind of just hanging out here. It doesn't really fit. Like, you don't have a deck that cares about artifacts. Like, sure, there's other ways we can get cards if we want to, even with different legends or whatever, that we don't need to play that. And you have a white, a green, and a red card in your one slot, which means unless you get starting town, you're going to have a hard decision to make every turn. Your first two turns are always going to have tough decisions, right? You shouldn't have more than two different colors in your one slot because otherwise your mana is just going to be way too clunky. So that's not super great either, I think. Whereas there are some other white cards you could play in that spot if you wanted to, that could protect your creatures maybe. But no, I understand wild cards can be a problem. I get it. But even if we wanted to do that, like, let's assume we don't even add any more rares, right? Let's say, because you don't have the wild cards, right? We can't play Seraphim. I would say spend your wild cards on starting town and multiversal passage. You're gonna play these in a lot of decks anyway. Just go spend 3 more wild cards. Like, I don't think anybody in the chat would argue that. Like, these cards are good. You're gonna play them in a lot of things. Maybe you'll play them the multiverse passage a little bit less whenever we get to Lorwyn, because then we'll have other shock lands. But even then, you'll probably still play them in something. So just go spend it on the lands. I don't think that's really a debatable situation. Like, I think that's one you just go do. Yeah, Nesting Bot, I was just about to say, if we're looking for other things that aren't rares, I think Nesting Bot is fine to include. And it's another good one drop that at least does something. I'm just trying to think, like, where we want to fill in stuff between the two. Like, we have nothing at 3. I mean, technically, I guess you could have Dryden for 3, but whatever. Yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, realistically, we don't have any solid 3 drops. So, But yeah, Nesting Bot I think is fine. We can go ahead and play that, right? And then I would cut this. And then, I mean, Halana's good. We know Ouroborod's good. Hell, I'd spend a wild card on Ouroborod if you have it. Like, the card's that good. Do we have anything else that makes tokens that we would want to play in this spot? Like, I was like, is there a thing? How do we search for rarity? I guess I could just do it this way. Let's go just commons and uncommons that are creatures that create a token. Is there anything? I mean, I guess there's these guys. Like, they're instant speed, so that's fine. There's a couple of those, right, with reinforcements. We have Momo. Reinforcements aren't bad. Maybe that is the best thing. Because none of the others, I think, are super good. There's randomly Piggy Bank that if it dies makes it easier for you to play your 4s, which I don't hate that. Which is fine. Again, not great, but if we're budget hunting, you take what you can get. Oh, yeah, that's probably where you're going to be. Don't think there's anything else in the multicolor stuff that's going to fit that the way we want. Man, Dogwalker turned out to just not do anything at any point. I was disappointed in that card. What's this? During your turn has flying. Oh, if it leaves the battlefield, you make a 1/1. That's not really what we're looking for either. Oh, well, nope, that other things are rare, so I'm not even going to mention it. Alright, so that didn't really do much for us. Warden of the Groves are rare. We're trying to avoid that. That doesn't count. No, I get why Percussionist is here, but it's also going to mess up your mana. Like, we're already on limited resources. Like, if you were to draw a hand that had either combination of the previous 3, and you have Multiversal Passage and either of these basics, you have a tough decision to make on what the next couple of turns are going to look like. You know what I mean? Like you need to at least be able to say, okay, I'm safe playing green or white turn one. I don't need red until later in the game, right? Or green and red, and I don't need white till later in the game, or whatever the case is, right? Just to make it so much easier. Otherwise, it's just going to be too clunky too often. That's the main reason you don't do that. Paleontologist is rare. Can't play it. Like that's the issue. Like if we're talking about not spending any wild cards, it gets tight. And it looks like we already spent some to get to this version of the build, so we just may not have a lot of resources left. And we have 4 slots that probably have to be creatures of some kind. But the problem here is, there's a bigger problem here, really, now that I'm looking at it, is we have next to 0 defenses against any type of control, even like mid-rangey type piles, because we have no resistant creatures. Right? I mean, maybe we can get like a Halana later or a Suki that could make us some tokens down the road. But we don't have any creature lands. We don't have, how many creatures are even in the deck total right now? 26. That's a fair number. Maybe we're just supposed to play like some Defend the Riders from here or something. 2/2 Spider that gives red and green. That's not bad. I mean, we have at least a fair amount of 4-drops to take advantage of it. So, like, I don't hate that. Maybe we do that, right? The Spider that untaps, and then a couple of Defend the Rider. I think Defend the Rider is uncommon. Yep. So we play some number of Defend the Rider, and then type Spider, add mana, Leyline Weaver, and like a couple of those. I mean, we don't have any 3-drops, but then we've added some mana. We have some more small things we could do defensively. So, like, not having any 3s becomes at least somewhat acceptable here. We still have all the colors to flip this if necessary. This could get you a few cards. Yeah, there's probably something here. This at least feels more consistent than what we had. Oh, somebody just gifted a sub. Thank you. Haven't been motivated to play MTG in over a year with everything going on. You've been my favorite streamer. During the years I did play, so thank you. Oh, that's so kind. Thank you. Oh, we have somebody from Japan, it looks like. This looks like Japanese text, but I cannot read it because it didn't translate it for me on here. Where he says, I hoped to end by 5 at the latest, just might not have the resources yet. You know, sometimes games just go the way they go, right? But here you at least have plenty of mana. You still have some removal spells that could buy you some time. You have at least a couple of value creatures in case these do die. You get a little bit of something for them, which could also trigger things to help your squire, whether it's putting a counter on it or making another creature that puts a counter on it, right? The Weaver cleans up your mana a little bit for being able to cast these dudes. So, like, all right, there's at least a little more something you could do here. Like I said, lands, you know, you're just using resources you got. You do what you got to do. You know, can't really complain about that too much. It's just situation is what it is. But yeah, should at least be cleaner and more consistent than what you had before. And make your early turns so much better. Because now you're not leaning on red nearly. Matter of fact, what do you have? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's probably fine. Leaving the lands alone for now. I wouldn't mess with them too much. Like I said, if you get some multiversal passage and start the town or starting town, you can maybe cut a plains. Not a plains, but cut a mountain out of here. And maybe cut a mountain and a plains, probably, if you ended up getting those. But otherwise, yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. All right, we can't have more than 1 or 2 left. So let me go see who we've still got in there. Adam Lavidin, did you try to sneak back into the queue? Oh wait, no, wait. You were already in there. You had the Golgari, one of the Golgari's symbiosis lists. You're done. It's 1 per person. Trying to break the rules over here. Thinking I wasn't gonna notice. I remember names. I'm good at that. All right. This one's Big Simic, is what it says. So this should be fun. All right, let's get out of here. Though I probably need to do another Naya Legends deck and see what new legends we got that fit. Okay. Big Simic. You know, this card has lost a lot of favor with me. The only last time I played it and I felt like it mattered was when I was playing the turtle deck that just wanted bigger toughness creatures. But otherwise, I have not been excited about this card. But I will say we're kind of already seeing some versions of this deck. Matter of fact, let me do a quick bit here because I feel like we've seen a couple of decks recently that are also. I don't think they're playing Bonnie Paul, which I am a fan of, but the Simic decks, I believe, have been leaning into playing Sab Sunan, because I've seen that in a few lists. Yeah, let me pull this up. This is an example of what's been out there already. So this isn't. I'm not saying you have to play this, but it's just this is just an example of version that's already proven. If we want to look at that, so let's do this real quick. So it's playing some of the same cards, obviously. You can play more repulsive mutations, I think. Obviously, Ouroborod's good. You could probably skip on Tidebinder for another mutation if you wanted to. But Drunith, which is a silly magic card as we've learned. Sabsunin, obviously good. Like, so yeah. Just saying, just putting this on screen for a second so people can see that, like, hey, this is a version of this that's already going around. So just as a reference point. Now, coming back to this one, the biggest issue I would say we have is I don't even know. This is probably like, yeah, 24. This feels like this needs to be a 25 or 26 lander. Because while we do have some of this early stuff for mana, I mean, we're trying to play Doppelgang, you know, a pile of 5 and 6 things. Like, if we don't get these things, our games are going to feel kind of bad, right? Because you don't even have Ouroboros to take stuff over with these little creatures. You're just, you know, you don't have Drunith making extra bodies. Like, the things that those other decks are doing, you lack a lot of that. You know, probably even to the point that this would make sense being the 2/1 Merfolk, right? They can tap a thing down and then you can at least get rid of it, you know, as some type of removal. Because right now, to a large extent, you have very little interaction to what your opponent's doing. Like, at best, you're hoping you have this with a couple of mana up. But that's kind of all you really have going on. To the point that I would probably cut this down to 3. Turn these into probably the other 2-drop. I don't know why I always forget the name of that. Oh, not 2 R's, 1 R. What are you doing, fingers? Yeah, some number of drowners, 3 or 4 of them. I don't know what the right number would be. And, oh, let's see. Shared Roots, obviously, is a decent magic card. You have Roots, Fenrir, Overlord. I mean, this is doable, I think. It's not stellar, but doable. I think here's the other thing, too. What are we wanting to copy with Doppelgang? Because there's a real chance that the best thing we can copy are things that don't like copies because they're legendary. I mean, we could, you know, Overlords are always fine to copy. Fenrirs are okay to copy. But we only have one Doppelgang, so I'm not saying. And you can always copy your opponent's stuff too, right? Like, so I'm not saying it's a bad card. There's nothing we can do. I'm just pointing out that when we do get our best thing, it's not a thing we necessarily want to copy. Copy Siren on the seventh. Yeah, 7 deaths or whatever. Yeah, that's actually a good one. Yeah, but yeah, I don't think this is a problem. I think it just needs some minor cleaning. But Bonnie Paul, Coma, like those are obviously silly good magic cards if you actually get them to stick. The trick is really just do these survive early. Like, because here's the one thing I would say is if you there's going to be draws where you get say 2 lands, maybe one of these, and a couple of these in your hand or whatever. It's not gonna feel great, but you just gotta hope for the best, right? Like maybe you shared roots, hope you get Overlord and you're not run over by then, and then like a Sabsunin can hold the fort on turn 4 or something, right? That's kind of what you're hoping for, I think. But yeah, I think this could be totally reasonable. But the biggest concern, like I said, I see is a lot's going to. Man, I actually kind of want to cut the doppelgang. The more I look at it, but I'm trying to think like how much mana are we likely to generate? Because we don't even have a lot that works with Badger Mole Cub. I mean, it's literally Llanowar Elf and the creature land that we make from it. Yeah, nothing else is really so. There's not a lot of value for the cub here. Because I'm just realizing that like we don't have anything else that taps for mana, right? Just those two things. So it's like, like it's one of the things. Like I don't hate it, but what are we getting? So here's what I would consider maybe. What if we do this? We go up one here. We cut one, and 2, 4. That's 7. You know what else costs 7? This guy. And this gets us cards, and it gets us life, so it can help us in a bad spot. It also can be copied with Doppelgang. Right? So, like, are we willing to play a couple of these? And maybe, like, one less Bonnie Paul? Maybe make it look like that, maybe? Something like that? Like, does that feel okay? And then we have Llanowar Elf, Badger Cub, Shared Roots to get us to Fenrir or Overlord. And then that should at least reasonably unlock some things. Maybe? I don't know. Or maybe it's supposed to be like one less Coma and one more Sabsunin to make sure we hit Sabsunin and can draw cards consistently or something. Like, I don't know. Because Sabsunin's only 5. And we can get to 5 pretty regularly. I would think. Like, if you can't get to 5, we probably lost anyway. But it's a thought. I'm just saying, like, these are all good cards at the top end that do really silly things. It's just got to make sure the mana and the game allows us to get to that, I think is the biggest thing. But maybe something like this. Also, if they kill your Vaultborn Tyrant or you have to sacrifice it, like you still get a token for it. So that's also good. Because I think Vaultborn Tyrant just says, like, whenever it dies. So that's nice. There's a chance you get something for it, which is super cool. So maybe this type of space would be better. This at least feels like your draws could be more consistent like this and less top heavy, right? Because we cut down a 4 to a 2, which largely does the thing you want it to do, lock down a creature, just buy you time. But this could also be removal if necessary. We kept all the repulsive mutations. We kept the doppelgang. We still kept the upper end and the selection of things. We kind of just moved numbers around and then added Vaultborn Tyrant, which gives you a little bit of extra value. So, yeah, this is probably better, I think. For next time, we do it 2 ways. We generally, no matter what, you go into the Discord channel or Discord server and then go to the standard channel, and then we post the link to where you host it in there. And then if you, like right now, we're getting close to the end of wrapping up. If you would like to continue or you would like to skip the line at this point, if you're already a YouTube channel member, or if you make at least a $2 donation on either platform, YouTube or Twitch, we can have you skip the line and then still get into the session. Otherwise, though, it is free. It's just if you're late and you want to skip the line or you want to continue to get looked at, then there's just a small charge if you are not already a member. So Swave says, I like the reach a lot with the frog to fight block a lot of the flyers. That's a good point for early plays. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like I do think it has other value, but most of our plan needs to be, hey, we got to set up our mana so we could do these silly things. And we do have Sabsunin that's one more mana that also has reach and trample and a bunch of other things, right? Like so it's not like the end of the world. Or if we get Bonnie Paul also has reach. So we do have other things that can do that if we get our mana to work. So I don't hate that. But all right, done. Let's look at, I think there was one more, if I'm not mistaken, that was in there. Or was that the end? Nope, it looks like that might, oh yeah, because Adam tried to sneak back in the line. We do one per person for the stream. I guess I should change the rule. If you pay for the second one automatically, then maybe we could get you back in. But generally one per person, so the queue doesn't get crazy. If you want reach creatures, no, I don't. I've seen people, like, here's an interesting thing. I don't think the Dragon Sniper is a terrible card, but I don't think it's significantly better than a lot of other things you could be doing. And I have to say that a large portion, overwhelming portion of the competitive community also agrees, because we don't see that card in anything. Yet it's a card I see a lot on the ladder, and I almost never lose to the card. So it's a tough one, right? Because it has the right words, and it has a lot for 1 mana. And it's like, oh, this card should be solid. But it's just not. I would cut that from so many of my lists before I do other things. Like, if I even just wanted reach, I'm playing like the what is it? The sharpshooter or whatever, right? The 4/4 for 3 mana raccoon. I'm playing that, right? Before I do that. I'm playing the 3/4 spider that has reach before that. I'm playing a bunch of other things. If I'm just trying to get reach into a deck, I'm getting something that gives me more value other than an easy to remove thing that at best blocks 1 time, right? I could have other stuff that blocks and possibly lives, or just deters my opponent from blocking altogether, right? Well, yeah, it's almost always going to trade with some, like your opponent, like sometimes they'll attack with a lesser thing for a turn, but then you're stuck with either like, I'm trading the Dragon Sniper for this crappy creature, or not even crappy, just lesser value creature, or I'm just taking the damage. You know what I mean? Then either of those isn't particularly a great option. Yeah, that guy also has reach, the Railway Brawler. Let's see. I've only had success with Dragon Sniper using stuff like Innkeeper's Talent or Hollowmark Siege or Boroid, etc. I mean, I think if there's also like a world where we did have, you know, the Death Touch decks that mattered and stuff like that, that card would be great right now. Dragon Sniper works best if you're running fight spells like Hunter's Talent, Bushwhack. Yeah, sure. I mean, that's reasonable. But yeah, I'm going to take it as that is the end of the queue at this point. So, we covered quite a lot. That was a lot. That was 3 hours. we did quite a bit of looking at decks. Yeah, the main concept behind the deck is to play super fun, over-the-top Simic creatures. No, I get that. But it's always a tough thing, right? When we're talking about deck building, and this is the trap we can all get in, myself included, that you look at cards and go, man, I really want to play this. This looks like really fun. Or I want to do this silly thing. But then you get in this weird trap of justifying other bad cards to play an already at best mediocre card that you really want to play with. So then your deck's just getting progressively worse, right? Because you've shoehorned in these other cards to justify this other thing. And it's like, all right, sometimes we got to make concessions to get what we want. And maybe we don't get everything. We just get like the one card in the list because we really want to play with it. And that's fine. You know, I have that happen sometimes even in my videos. People are like, well, why are you playing this card? And it's like, I don't know. I just want to play with it. You know, like sometimes that's all it is to it. Sometimes you just want to play the fun thing. And I get it. Dragon Sniper might be really good in Finn the Fangbearer. It would be. Just Finn overall is not a great deck right now. That describes a lot of your deck building. Yeah, it is that way for a lot of people. And it's tough because I think we do get in situations where it's like, man, I would be really excited about my deck if I could make this thing work. But sometimes we also have to, in a fishing term, cut bait because it's just not going to be a thing. Or if you want a classic, we got to try to not make fetch happen, right? Sometimes it's just not gonna. It's not going to be a thing. And again, for me, that's an example of where I talked about in the video where I last played Slime Against Humanity, right? I've literally tried 20 plus, 25 plus builds with that card, and they're all bad. And I even tell people, don't bother telling me things in the comments because I've already tried it. Like, I'm just going to ignore those in that video. And I told people, like, have you tried this? Have you played it? Have you exiled this thing? Have you tried milling to do? Yes, the card's just bad. Right? Like, literally. You don't think with that many different builds, I haven't tried damn near everything? The card sucks. It just sucks. Like, has all the words. I want it to do something cool. And I've even done things where, like, we're trying to copy the counters. We're trying to make them bigger with Brawler. We're trying to give them haste. Trying to play it with different things that are just milling yourself. Like, doing all these silly things, and none of them make it good. It's just a card that's bad, and that's okay. Just gotta accept it at the end of the day. Seems like everybody wants to play. Yeah, well, today there was a lot of Terra Symbiosis. That was definitely the card of the day. Your obsession with slides is why I'm stuck on. Oh, slimes is why you're stuck on Plat. Yeah, it's terrible. It's just a bad card. And I guess because the problem is each one you have really doesn't do anything. Like, it's weird to say that, but it's like, all right, I made like this 2/2 or this 3/3 or whatever. Okay, but it's just kind of a knucklehead, and you've worked to get that one body, and then your opponent gets rid of it. You're like, okay, well, I'll cast another one. Now it's like a 4/4 or a 5/5. It's like, okay, but what's your opponent been doing in the meantime? You know what I mean? Like, by the time you get set up, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'm just dead. And I will say this, even the games I won with it usually felt like your opponent stumbled or didn't have a good draw or something. So that's already not a good feeling. But the wins weren't fulfilling. It wasn't like, oh, I really popped off and did this cool thing. It was like, all right, some weird battle of attrition, and I just played like 2 slimes, and one was like an 8/8 and one was a 9/9, and then the game was over, right? It just wasn't fun. So I just quit trying. After that last video I did to tell everybody, like, hey, I've been trying, I haven't enjoyed it. I don't recommend anybody else do it. Share it to the Discord so we can see it later. I don't even know which one. I don't even know which comment that is, but no, I'm not sharing that. Like, you can search through my videos and just put in Slime Against Humanity or whatever. It'll probably come up, and you can look at that last version of that, and that's probably the last time I touched it. I haven't even tried to build anything with it in a couple months now, I think. But yeah, it's bad. It's not a fun card. Yeah, it's not even going to be good to copy it with the doppelganger. Yeah, it's just bad. Like, yeah, slimes. I same situation. Somebody else mentioned that as well. Just like, well, what if you played that with slimes? And I'm just like, yeah, not great. And I think the problem is that had a different issue, and I'll just bring him up here. It's like the slimes. Whoop, cancel. The slimes in general didn't do much, right? If we put creature type slime in green, what is this? Did it not? Why did it not come up as a slime? Oh, or because they're oozes. They're not slimes. I was like, that's why. Because all the slimes are oozes. There you go. Like, the problem is you really only get scavenging ooze that's actually good, and then predator ooze, which is okay, and then the rest are just bad. Like, 5 mana, 9/7, do nothing, meh, where nobody's ever going to play ooze patrol. And then these two, you're just playing other colors just to squeeze these in and justify them. Just like, meh. Even with Mill, I don't like him. Like, truthfully, even with Mill, I don't think it's justifiable. Like, this is the best slime is scavenging ooze, being ooze, realistically, and then mimeoplasm. But you're not playing that in similar decks. You're playing them in different things. Earth Crystal gave me hope that I have to use a replacement for Cemetery Prowler and it's beating my hand. Yeah, I think the problem with Earth Crystal is that the reduction doesn't matter as much as it does on other colors, right? The red one is great because it allows you to play stuff like Clive and all these big silly things that give you so much value. But like green, you're already playing efficient bodies or things that make mana anyway. So you're really only playing it if the counters matter significantly, right? And even then, you have so many things that put counters on things, you don't desperately need this. So in a lot of builds, when I've played it, it's been like a random one of, just as like, okay, I guess if I desperately need a thing to put 2 counters on a thing, but otherwise, yeah, hasn't really shown out. I think the only one I've really played a lot of is the red one because the haste is huge. You know, blue one didn't do much. A lot of people tried to talk me into the blue one gonna be big, and like I was glad I was right on that one. It really wasn't. The black one I've seen a couple of times. I don't think that's not true. I've seen the white one in a couple of piles, not a lot. Yeah, I think that's it. I was like, just doesn't really do much in a lot of cases. I think that's the best form of slimes, and it's still not good. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Slime against you. I'll bring it up too, since people may not know what it is, because I've sitting here and said the name a couple of times. But this card, it's just a bad magic card. What's wild is, I mean, and it's fine. It's a common, so it's not like it's hard for people to get or whatever. But it feels like it should do. Like you're getting this 5/5, 6/6 with trample and whatever, right? It feels like this should do a thing, especially if you're able to copy it or whatever, or fill your graveyard with 4 or 5 of them. But like, for whatever reason, it just doesn't work out, man. I don't even know what to tell you. Like, it just doesn't. Like I said, I wish I had an answer, but I've tried so much with this. Like, at best, I told people, if you don't have to spend a lot of resources on it, feel free to go play it in the play queue. But I would zero chance tell anybody to play. And I play a lot of dumb stuff on the ladder and rank up. I would not even a little bit jokingly tell somebody, not even as an April Fool's joke, would I tell somebody to go play this on the ladder. Like, that's how I feel about it. Like, I have so much disdain for this card at this point. Yeah, it's exactly. You can't even copy the 0/0 because it's just a 0/0 token, right? Yeah, it's just bad. It's just bad. I don't. There's it's. I don't even know. It's just positioned the wrong way somehow between being a sorcery, not really adding value to anything else. It just, yeah, it's tough. And it's kind of funny when you think about it because we've had a lot of versions of this type of card, right? Like we've had the black one that was the acolytes that could go get the demon. We had the blue ones that could mill you, the white ones that make extra tokens or whatever. We have just a pile of this card, right? Like different versions of it. Rats, right? That make a bunch. And then green got the spell that makes a creature, not just the creature that does something. So like in a weird way, green almost got a backwards card, other than the fact that it makes an ooze, which is very green, but kind of weird. Cards that you have any number of have always been the most fun to play for me. Yeah, they've been okay. This one is the worst of them. Hell, I like this less than the red one that just let me play a bunch of damage spells. You know, right? Like the red one was even better than this. I at least played a couple of decks on the ladder that we did okay with playing that. This might be one of the few decks I built that I don't even know if I'd say the win rate was above 20%. It might add, if I added it all up, all the different versions I played, I bet you it's less than 20. It might even be less than 10. Oh, I'm sorry for you, artists. You tried making a slime against humanity deck. Those are wasted hours you were not getting back. Trust me. I probably have about, if I added it all up, probably 2 weeks worth of time into this damn card, and it's not a thing. So yeah, that's tough. But yeah, just a thought there. Stay away from it. It's not worth your time. I promise. Discard changes. I am not saving anything anymore with that card in it. But yeah, hello Darje, just showing up. How's it going? But at the end of the day, whatever you build, even if it's you're trying to climb the ladder or whatever, you don't need the best tournament deck to ladder climb. Anybody who tells you that is not being either is unaware or they're not being completely genuine and honest. Because y'all see on my channel, we play a variety of things. And I've been able to rank up pretty much if I just decide I want to get to Mythic every season. Right? So people can't sit here and say, like, oh, well, this deck's terrible. There's no way it has a chance to win. Or you can't, you have to play tier 1 and 2 decks, or you can't. Like, no, you don't. Like, I literally have built decks that we're just like, all right, we're going to try to play this card today. And yeah, not everything's going to be a 70% deck or whatever, right? That's just not going to be a thing. But if your deck gets to 54, 55, that's all it needs to be. As long as you're winning more than you're losing, you will still rank up. That's how the math works. You're going to be fine. It might take you an extra 3 days or whatever if you're only playing for a couple hours a night or whatever the case is, but like you're still going to rank up. Like that's just how it works. So there's still a lot you can play. You know, I think the big issue though is don't even worry so much about just the wins and losses, but it's also, are you enjoying it? Because there's decks I've played that didn't even have a great win percentage that I enjoyed the hell out of playing. But I've also made videos where we've gone, 8-2, 6-1, whatever with the deck. And I've told you in the video, while this deck won a lot of games, I didn't really have that much fun playing it. I'm probably never going to play it again. And that's real. Like, I would rather play a deck that's mediocre and barely above 50% if I'm having a blast playing it than play a deck that's a 60 or 70% win percent deck if I'm just bored or, not enjoying myself for whatever reason playing the deck. So I always tell people, it's not about just building the thing that you think can win a bunch. It's also like find the thing that's fun for you. And you get to do that by watching all these different creators and all these different streams and whatever, right? Like you get all these options to even figure out what looks fun to you. So I would do that. Raise the Pass kind of fits that for me. Win with it, but it becomes repetitive. Yeah, like I think I've played one Raise the Pass deck just to show it off, and that was it. Because I knew I wasn't going to have can it win games? Sure. Are the games fun? They all feel very grindy to me. So that's just not my jam. But it's going to be somebody else's perfectly. Which is why I don't mind showcasing it, right? It's still an opportunity for somebody to see a thing and go like, oh, well, I kind of like this, and maybe they find their thing. So I'm helping lead them to a deck that they enjoy. But I know I won't ever play it again, and that's okay, right? Not everything has to be for everybody. And just because I don't enjoy a thing doesn't mean somebody else shouldn't, right? There's a reason those cards exist, and there's a bunch of different decks and a bunch of different formats, and everybody can find the thing that's best for them. Let's see. Persuasive says, I stopped caring about rank when it was making me have less fun playing Magic. Yeah, I think that's a thing in gaming as a whole. I don't even think that's just a Magic thing. I think what we're seeing across the board with most games, and this is, I think I've talked about this before. One of my big things with any game, especially card games when they come out, is what does your casual scene look like, right? How are casual players going to be able to engage with the game, pick up the game? What resources are there? Because at the end of the day, 99% of your player base will never be at the top tier of your player. Hell, 99.9 will never be at the top tier, right? Probably as much as 80 to 85% will probably never even attempt to play in one of your major tournaments, right? And then probably maybe only about 30% will even take a shot at it at some point, right? So you have to have other stuff that's fun. But I think for a long time, the only thing that really existed for a lot of games was okay, here's these grindy options, right? And this is what you get if you want to play with other people. Whether you were playing League of Legends, if you're playing Madden or whatever, that's kind of all that existed. And I appreciate as more games start doing more and more to try to balance the gameplay out, try to find people of similar rank, doing all that. So it's like, okay, you don't have to do the grindy thing because I get it. People put a lot of stress on themselves. I mean, you see the little marker just go down instead of up or whatever on whatever game you're playing. Hell, I get that when I play Teamfight Tactics, right? If I could lose a couple times and you lose like 10 points here or 18 points there, and it's like, now I lost the whole thing. I got to climb back up. And it's like, it's like, I'm just probably not going to play tonight. I'm just going to check out and go do something else, right? It can happen in any type of game. So I totally understand if you never want to play ranked games. That's fine. I only do it for videos, generally to just be like, hey, if you want to play on rank, here's a fun thing I built that you can still play here, right? To present it as an option. But every once in a while, maybe once a season or whatever, I'll have a video that's, you know what, this deck's kind of goofy. It's whatever. We're just going to play it in the play queue, have some fun with it. But again, at the end of the videos, I'm honest. I tell people, yeah, this was barely over 50%, or like, you can get a couple of wins here or there, but you're better off just playing this in the play queue. Don't spend the resources if you play ranked or whatever, right? Just so I can help direct people to whatever type of fun you're trying to have. Here's what you know, so you have all the information. Only thing I say that is people need to also just watch through the end of the video so they understand, because I try to give people that bit of information. So it's on you, I've literally had somebody, I played it, I can't remember what the video, this is months and months ago, closer to the beginning of the year. But I remember a comment where a person was mad saying, well, I built this deck and I'm whatever, like 2-12 or blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how you won with this. And I literally in the video said, don't build this. Like I literally told people, like, don't build this deck. It's not good. But because they saw one game where I won something with it, they probably rushed to go download the list and go play it, and literally didn't stick around for the video where I said, you don't want to do that. This deck sucks, So that happens too. Right? That's where it's on those times. It's like, it's on the viewer. I tried to give you a warning. Like, I literally have a section you could skip to that's just like the wrap up. At least go watch the last 5 minutes of the video, just to make sure, Now, generally, you can watch the games and see where they're competitive against other competitive decks or whatever. And it's like, it's fine. You may not have to, but if you're not sure and some weird quirky cards, get all the information you need to. Give the deck the 40 minutes and watch how those games play out so you understand if it's a thing you really want to do. I think it's very easy to watch 2 games of anybody's video, not just mine, but watch 2 or 3 games and like, okay, I got it. I'm going to download it, go play it. Because for all you know, they lost the next 3. Or the games were a grind, or like, hell, I had one just the other day where I won a game just because my opponent blocked terribly. Right? Literally the most obvious block, for whatever reason, they just didn't make it. And we would have just died the next turn. So it's like, okay, you're counting that as a win, but it's actually kind of a loss, really. Or I got a couple of wins because my opponents just stumbled and didn't draw well. Like, okay, it looks neat, but what does that look like when the game's normal, right? So there's a lot of that stuff that goes into it. So again, I always tell people, pay attention to how a deck wins or loses, not whether it won or lost. That's the biggest thing. Dim Bones says, did the same thing with the Nissa Planeswalker deck. Wondered why Awaken the Woods didn't want to work for me. Well, yeah, that's fair. Yeah, Awaken the Woods was a weird card because there's decks where it super shined and other ones where it's just like did nothing. And it was hard to tell which was which. And I think there's a lot of cards like that where it's easy to look at and say like, oh, this does a thing. I get what it does. This should be really good. And then sometimes it's just not. And it's subtle little things that when you combine all the cards together in a deck list, work or don't. And that's why I say, like, sometimes you got to watch at least 3-4 games of some of these videos so you understand totally why something's working or not. To me, I honestly believe this. I think the average Magic player would be better watching more videos about decks and their struggles and how they don't win or what cards don't work more than they would be good for watching deck lists that are already solid, right? But for every player that says, I wish I was better, I need to understand this better, I wish I knew how to build better decks, blah, blah, whatever, they don't care to watch those videos, right? If they see a deck lose 2 or 3 times, they're like, okay, I'm done with this video. I'm gonna go watch something else, right? But that's the one where you can learn the most from. Whereas it's just watching good cards do good card things, and the right combination is just like, okay, fine. You found a deck list that works, but how much did you learn in the process? Probably not that much, right? Maybe one new card get introduced and you got to see a cool interaction that you didn't know was a thing, and that's kind of neat. But that's probably all your takeaway was. But as creators, we have already seen over the years that those types of videos don't perform well, right? People don't care to watch them. Like, I'm even upfront, like even with how my videos are edited, like we shape them so it like rarely are you going to see a loss as the first. Every once in a while there'll be a loss as the first game if the game's really interesting, but otherwise it gets bumped to the second or the third game because we know how people interact with the videos, right? So that's why I always tell folks, like even the series I started doing recently, telling people how to be better at deck building, right? Things you should avoid in your deck building, and why I literally just titled it "Why Your Decks Suck," and broke down some things people do too much of. Then we did one. We were talking about this earlier. We did one that was okay. If you're building aggro mid-range control, here's what the average deck breakdown should look like and why, and here's what different varieties look like. So of how many spells, creatures, lands, whatever you should have, right? Then we did another one that was if you're trying to cast these spells on these turns, here's how many land your deck should include or whatever. And I knew those weren't going to be super big videos because while people say they want that, a lot of times I won't watch the videos where they get that. That's why you don't see a lot of those videos. Like, because I tell people all the time, if ultimately that's what people genuinely wanted and they would watch it, one, community would have caught up and we'd all be making more of those videos. But two, the best players in the world would be the top YouTubers. Because you would go to them because they have the most experience and you could learn those tricks and tips and heuristics and whatever from them. But yet they're not. Right? So that alone tells you people ask for one thing, but then they watch another thing. So I decided to make the videos anyway, knowing they weren't going to be gangbusters. I make them for the community. They will be there in the future. They'll be in a playlist. So if people want to just watch them, direct a friend to them or whatever, cool. It's a resource that's out there, and I just gave something to the community. Spent a lot of time making lists and doing things and figuring out how I'm going to present the videos or whatever, but it is what it is, right? They're just okay. They'll be out there for people. Like I said, the next one I'm working on is lands in multicolor decks. I expect people will not have a great time with it because it's just like kind of crunchy or whatever, but the people who need it, it'll be there for them. Gotta tuck my kid in, but thanks for the lesson. Gonna submit my Raise the Pass deck for the next one. Peace. Yeah, here's the other thing too. When we do these videos, if you submit a deck that just already exists, it's gonna be a bad time for you because there's not a lot to change in those, right? If they already are just known decks, at most we're just like, hey, swap this card for this card, have fun, and we just move on to the next one because there's not a lot to really critique in those situations. But all right, y'all, we're at probably about the 3.5 hour mark here now. Yeah, I think that's a good place to call it. We got a good Saturday afternoon stream in. I still got to finish editing some videos for y'all to watch, so we will get those up. And I got to get a little bit ahead because I'm going to be taking some time off for Thanksgiving as well next week. There's no more deck submission. Deck submissions died a while ago. Unless you're going to extend the stream by either being a YouTube member and submitting a deck or making a minute equivalent of at least a $2 donation either on Twitch and or YouTube, then we will continue. Otherwise, all of the free slots are done and we are getting close to wrapping up. So if you want in, you got to do it quick. But yeah, I have a whole pile of stuff I'm working on deck-wise, so there'll still be a few things to see. Today's video didn't do particularly well, but I think it's just, people have kind of got their fill already of allies, I think was the biggest issue. But that's largely fine. I'm not too concerned about it. I sort of figured that was going to be the case. But I think the deck is really good. I think we've kind of figured out what allies should look like, and they are actually really competitive. I mean, I basically played it through the whole last level of Diamond into Mythic from Diamond 1 and just got all my wins into Mythic with it. So I would totally tell people, if you're looking for a way to rank up and you just want to play something fun with new cards, if you have the wild cards to spin, go ahead and build the ally deck. It's solid. We've even seen it making some decent finishes and top 8s in the league and challenge events already. So I think it's a proven deck at this point. But all right, I think that's going to do it, folks. As always, wherever you are watching, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Please remember to take care of yourselves, your family. Remember to be awesome. And most importantly right now, be awesome to each other.